examiner's testimony, because we're trying to get to the nature of the charges in this case. What does that lend to, relevant to her testimony or those charges? I don't see any necessity. So we got just one more body part is random. Doesn't really apply to anything. We don't even know what it is.
And she wasn't even sure what we were talking about.
I'm fine with removing that one, Judge.
Okay. We will remove 50. Okay. And then we move on to 51, which seems to be a collection of the various body parts. Is this after cleaning or before?
I think that was before clean. I think that's before, Judge.
Okay.
Oh, well, clearly some of the bones have been stripped of any flesh that was on them. So I think you're looking at some of.
Well, that's why I asked the question. Do some of those bones, did they have flesh on them when they were collected? I don't know.
I'm not aware from any description of what was collected in the field and taken from the bags that they were just bones when they came out.
Okay.
So I think these are all, or at least the ones that are just bones here, have been stripped by the medical examiner.
Well, certainly, I don't know why the top portion of the leg, I don't know why that would be, why that wouldn't be stripped, and the ones at the bottom would. But I know that some of the testimony that I expect is that there was at least one animal that had gotten to the bag. There was the possibility of other animals, because the body parts were out there in that wooded area for several months. And I would say in hot conditions, which one thing that doctors will say is they can't, because of the conditions and the variables, they can't say what rate of decomposition there was. And the other point I would say to that is there's going to be some manipulation of the remains so that the medical examiner can examine and look at potential damage. For instance, I don't find anything particularly gruesome about just looking at a bone itself, especially when it's been stripped of flesh, if that's what indeed happened. But the bone in the condition that it is in the photographs when they examine it allow them to see the damage to it. And that's what allows them to see the appearance of assault, striking the bone. So for that reason alone, that visual image should be allowed to be displayed for the jury. It aids the testimony of the expert, and it allows for that expert to explain why they believe there are signs of assault on the bones of the spot.
Okay. And then I have 53, 54, 57, and 59, which at least to my untrained eye in the absence of evidence seemed to me to be an effort to document alleged saw marks, tool marks on the bones.
Yeah, and I was trying to make an effort to include at least one example of each one of those that's independent. But where they're double pictures of the same thing, I think it's cumulative and unnecessary. That's also why I think that, we've got these close-ups where there are tool marks. That's why we don't need a whole table with the bones laid out. That you can't see any tool marks from that distance anyway. That's just cumulative and gory for no other reason. Doesn't document anything the medical examiner did except take the flesh off the bones. But, and maybe I missed one, that's fine, I'll hear about it. But as far as going through the list, I tried to include one example of each specimen that had tool marks that was unique. And I only object to the ones I thought was cumulative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just one second, Mr. Fossett, because I am going to let you respond. So to be clear, I didn't just limit my review to the numbers that Mr. McDermott mentioned, right? I was looking at them as trying to take them as a whole with particular attention to the ones that you had asserted, looking for things like needless accumulation that would just be gory for no reason versus particular reasons. Again, without any context, I don't know if, for example, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58 are different bones with saw marks in them or different angles of the same saw marks on the same bone?
I can't tell you with definitive accuracy, but my inclination was 54, 55 were the same, just different angles. And
Mr. Fossett, the point of my asking that question is I believe that the presence of tool marks and the demonstration of them is relevant. Nobody's going to enjoy that process, but it's relevant and needs to be presented. If it is different bones, right, saw marks on multiple bones, I don't think that's cumulative. If it is, unless you anticipate that the medical examiner is going to say that there is a specific reason for two different photographs from, say, two different angles or something like that of saw marks on the same bone, then I would ask the state to endeavor to further limit the photographs. Yeah. So to Mr. That's okay, sorry. So to Mr. McDermott's point, if it is three angles of the same saw marks on the same bone, then perhaps one would be sufficient unless you're going to tell me that the medical examiner has a particular reason for having taken that photograph in the manner at which it was taken in order to enable them to conduct their examination.
In light of that, Your Honor, I would propose taking out Exhibit 55, 58, and 59. I believe that would eliminate, and you know, the intent of including 55 and 54 was that the different angles that they think would aid the testimony, but I think that the expert can testify based off of the one photo. So I would propose taking out 55, 58, and 59.
Okay. So
Your Honor, did I already object to 53?
you did?
Okay. I'll wait till, did we talk about that one yet?
No, I wanted to start with the saw marks because it appeared to my eye that your point was that, and I thought that was correct, that there were multiple angles of the same saw marks on the same bone, and absent some particular showing of necessity of multiple angles of it, I wanted to see if we could pare that down. Now, going back to the 53, really it's the group of photographs from, say, 39 to 53, which are the various body parts. As a general proposition, their existence and condition in the field is relevant and admissible, right? Those photographs that document that, as long as they're not cumulative, as long as we don't have 7 photographs of the same thing. I believe that starting with 44, it might be, well, no, I think all of them are. Starting with 35 through 53, they're all in the ME's office, right? Those are all as part of documenting. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Other than, Mr. McDermott, is your argument that, I think I heard one argument, which was that they are the photographs 35 through 53 are cumulative of photographs in the field and don't need to be shown again. Do you also assert that photographs between 35 and 53 are cumulative of one another, that there are multiple photographs?
In some cases, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So the same request I made earlier, Mr. Fawcett, and I trust that you endeavored to already do that. But to the extent that the photographs taken in the medical examiner's office are necessary and relevant to demonstrate how the examiner examined the remains to arrive at their opinions, I think those are relevant and admissible despite their graphic nature. Thank you. But I would also want to avoid needless repetition of the same photograph.
In further, further effort to apply with the court's instruction, I would propose eliminating 39, 38, and 35. I believe that would eliminate the 2 photographs of the head. That would just be the head and the field. 39 would be I believe, looks like a knee portion to me. There would still be that photograph of that in the field, and it might benefit the jury that it's not as close up as that. And then 35, which is the neck. So
No, 35 is the head.
35 is the, okay. So then I would take out 38.
Okay.
And I think 36 and 37 are representative of, I think, both sides of that neck column. So I would propose that.
Okay. Mr. McDermott?
Well, I'm fine with those deletions. I would also ask that 53 be deleted because it's repetitious of 56. And although I think there's a question to be asked fairly, on 53, you can see the kind of connective tissue at the far right side. If that was part of the examiner's testimony, that's how part of how the leg was removed or something of that nature, it would be more relevant. But I would say choose between one of those 2 photos. I would prefer 56 because it's less gruesome.
53 and 56.
They're the same bones from different angles.
Mr. Fawcett?
I'm fine with that, Judge.
Okay, so which one?
53.
I'm sorry, you'll remove 53 or you'll remove 56?
I'll take out 53.
Okay. So what I have so far is the state has agreed to remove 35, which is a second photograph of the head, even though we have a close-up of the recovered head in the field, which is remaining in evidence. That the state has agreed to withdraw 38, 39, 53, I'm sorry, 50, 53, 58, and 59. So with those agreements to remove those photographs, Mr. McDermott, other than your objection to the nature of the evidence and its graphic nature, et cetera, do you still specifically have other objections you wish to make a record of?
Unless I wrote them down and you have it?
Yes, sir.
Then no.
Okay. Well, to try and be as clear as I can, Mr. McDermott moved to exclude 35, and 35 has been voluntarily withdrawn by the state. Mr. McDermott did not move to remove 38. He did move to exclude 39 through 42. The state has agreed to remove 39, but to keep 40, 41, and 42. So to the extent necessary, I'm going to deny Mr. McDermott's motion to exclude photographs number 40, 41, and 42. Mr. McDermott moved to exclude 44, 46, and 47. I'm denying that motion. As to Mr. McDermott moved to exclude photograph 50, the state has agreed to remove that one. Mr. McDermott moved to exclude 51. That motion is denied. Mr. McDermott moved to exclude 53. 53 has been voluntarily withdrawn by the state. Mr. McDermott moved to exclude 54, 57, and 59 that are various angles of saw marks. Other photographs in the packet that the state has offered, including 55, 58, and 59, are various angles of those same saw marks. And the state has agreed to withdraw 55, 58, and 59. And based on that showing, the defendant's motion to exclude 54 and 57 are denied, and the defense's motion to exclude 59 is granted because the state agreed to withdraw it. Anything else, Mr. McDermott, about the photos?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Fossett, anything that we need to take up before we get started with the evidence?
No, Judge, if I could just have a few minutes to take out the exhibit.
I was just going to say, yeah, and I'll run through them again. You have, my notes indicate, agreed to withdraw 35, 50, 53, 58, 59.
Is that going to give me enough time for a comfort break?
Yes, although I do have all my jurors, so as soon as y'all can get back and be ready, we'll be ready. Around, sir, so that you'll be facing sort of this general direction towards the deputy, where the deputy's standing, if you can. Turn a little bit more so you're facing the deputy so you won't have your back to the jury. That's good, sir. Now, are you able to raise your right hand, sir? Okay. If you would, thank you.
This is one you're about to give court today. The whole truth and nothing but the truth. You may lower your right hand, state and spell your name for the record, please.
I feel like W. McKeon, that is MC,
Okay. Mr. McEachern, this is the judge talking. I'm behind you, so don't worry about that. If you could, just because you don't have a microphone, if you could just try to speak up when you're answering questions to make sure everyone in the courtroom can hear you. Okay, sir? Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Your Honor. And you live in Atlanta, sir? How long have you lived there?
28 years.
And did you ever live in the area of Avon Avenue, in the general area? Do you still live there? How long have you lived at your present address? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. What did you do? What did you do for a living?
I want to thank you very much for the
I apologize. We can't hear him.
Hold on a second, sir. Should I try to get the microphone?
I'd say give it a try. Tape together. Yes, please. It's coming though. I can see it moving.
All right.
You see if you can get closer to the microphone that we have there for you, sir? Yes, sir. Yes, for now. Hang on, I apologize. Why don't you have him come to the podium and against all directions, we're going to have him move. We're going to move the microphone. Thank you. Just bend it down towards me. I'm going to have him right here. Yes, ma'am. And then, Mr. McEachern, if you could turn a little bit more and face the jury, please, sir. And now.
Yes, George W. McEachern.
Much
Last-
better, sir.
Last name spelled capital MC, capital EACHERN.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Your Honor. And do you remember in April, at the end of April of 1999, unusual thing happening on, an unusual thing you found on Avon Avenue?
Yes, I went for a walk that morning to the bank, and on my way back, I came up Avon Avenue, and as
And what did you see?
I saw a head, a human head that was laying in the street. So I walked up to it, and I looked down at it, and I saw it was a head.
How did you know it was a head?
Well, through my training in mortuary science and funeral directing, I recognize human heads.
Human head?
Yeah.
What did you do?
I took a stick and I moved it out of the street to the curb of the road,
Why'd you do that?
so it would be intact. I didn't want anybody, another vehicle to come and crack it up. So I moved it to the corner.
Could you repeat the last part where you said that it's a crack it?
I did not want a vehicle to come and run over their head and deform it. So I saw it belonged to somebody.
What did you use to move it?
I broke off a stick, and I took the stick and I kind of pushed it over to the curb.
Did you see anything else unusual on Avon Avenue on that day? I mean, was there any other things that you can recall?
Well, I didn't know some birds, some birds flying up in there, look like buzzards. And,
Okay.
And I recognized that might have been the reason why they were there. But I told the officer after I called them that I thought they could be something else out there in the woods because the buzzards were still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, after you found the skull, what did you do next?
I went home, I got my daughter, because she was in criminal justice,
Okay.
and I wanted her to see the head.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did your daughter come with you?
She did.
And what did you do next?
Call the police.
Okay.
Call 911.
And after you called 911, how long did it take? Do you remember how long it took the police to get there?
That recognition said right now. It wasn't long. But right now I cannot recall how long it was.
Okay.
But they
You think
did.
It was long?
No, I didn't think it was long. But
How
they,
many police? Do you remember how many police showed up?
no,
Was it just one or more than one?
I don't know. I know there were one.
Okay.
I do know there were one. There could have been more than one, okay?
Because you talked to the one?
Yeah, I talked to the one. Yeah.
Okay. And did you go anywhere after you initially told the police out on the scene? Did you go anywhere with the police?
I do know I had to go downtown.
Okay.
But I can't recall whether it was the same day or not, or whether it was a few days later. But I do know I went down to the Atlanta Police Department.
Okay.
I think it was down there, Georgia State College, Ponce Leon, somewhere down in there.
you went to the headquarters
I went to the headquarters, I think, well,
and
you-
I
you-
s- I
it's
assume
a-
you told them what you saw?
I told them the same thing I'm telling you now.
And do you remember if you gave any statement or had to sign a statement or anything, just saying what you did?
I'm pretty sure I had to, sir. I'm pretty sure I had to.
I'm gonna show you a piece of paper. Do
Okay.
you recognize that?
Mm-hmm.
Is that your signature?
My signature.
Yeah, could you read it real quickly? Is that the statement that you gave?
Mhm. Sir, I'm gonna be honest with you in the courts. When I gave this report, I was walking, I was younger, I could see better,
Well, can you read it?
and right now, I cannot make this out. They too damn around. I don't have my glasses with me.
Are they round?
I don't know, but baby, have my glasses like that.
Mr. Wilson, just to clarify, are you asking the witness to read it to himself or are you asking him to read it out loud?
Read it to himself. to see
Thank
if it refreshes his recollection.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Do you need some assistance, sir? Apparently not.
What do you want me to do with this?
Does that help you?
Yes, you may read it to myself.
Yeah, read it to yourself real quick.
Okay. The truth, all but a few, maybe a few sentences.
Do you know?
I was driving. I wasn't driving. I was walking at the time.
I apologize. I think you
Say that
said,
again.
I wasn't driving. I was walking at the time.
Did you,
Yeah.
does that help refresh your recollection
Yeah,
at all?
sure, it does.
Do you remember finding anything else other than a human head?
I don't. I
Now,
don't.
how long have you lived? You've lived in Atlanta your whole life?
No,
Where else did you live?
no,
Or how long have you lived in Atlanta?
ever since 1960.
Ever since 1960?
Yes.
And Avon Avenue, is that located in Fulton County?
It is.
Can I just have one moment, Your Honor?
sure. Thank you. Mr. McDermott, questions for this witness? Sure.
Good afternoon.
Oh, sir, how are you?
Just a couple questions.
Okay.
You said you informed the officer on the scene that there were buzzards circling overhead. Is that correct?
I did.
And did they go over and check anything else? To your knowledge?
I don't know. They told me they were going to, but I think what happened, a few days later, somebody came by my house and told me that they had found another body part, and they were going to try to match the head with that body part. However, as far as I can remember, sir, it wasn't in Atlanta they had found that body part. I think he told me to find somewhere near Griffin or Macon or somewhere down in the area. It was something he told me they had found a body part. And they were trying to mess it up. And that's the last I heard of that.
Is this a walk that you took every day or frequently?
No, this was a walk that I decided I wanted to walk that morning to the bank
Did you ever normally travel up and down Avon Avenue?
sometime.
You ever notice any dogs?
Brother, there are homes in that area. I'm sure there are dogs in that area
Did
also.
you ever see any when you traveled out there?
Yeah, yeah.
I can't remember. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
That's all the question.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson?
No redirect, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. McEachern, you are excused as a witness. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Your Honor, we would call Dale Kelly.
Okay. If you could move that mic back,
Yes, ma'am.
and then we're all going to try not to touch it again. Thank you. Before you have a seat, if you'll turn and face the deputy and raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give for this stage of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You may go right now and repeat the state, so your name was so accordingly.
Careful. That chair is on wheels and there's a ledge next to you. So
Yeah,
make sure and stay closer to me than the edge, okay? Thank you, sir.
Dale, Kelly, Kelley.
And what do you do for a living, sir?
Retired,
What did you do before you were
law
retired?
enforcement for 42 years.
And let's go through your law enforcement career. Where did you first become a law enforcement officer?
In 1979 in the city of Atlanta.
And when you were hired, did you have to get, well, tell us about your hiring at the city of Atlanta.
And July 2nd, 1979 was the first day I started the Atlanta Police Academy. We were there for 12 weeks. And then after you got out of that, you rode with a senior officer for 12 more weeks in field training. I became a patrol officer. I was assigned to Zone 1, which is northwest Atlanta at that time. 83, I was promoted to detective. I did vice for about 6 months. That was during Eldon Bell. He thought all new detectives needed to go undercover and then come out and get in a regular division. I went to sex crimes. I worked in sex crimes, total of 13 years, but whenever they had a sexually related homicide, I would get pulled over and help the homicide detectives work a sexually related homicide. And in 1996, I was permanently assigned to homicide.
In were you post-certified?
Yes,
Are you still post-certified?
no, I do not keep my mandated.
Okay. And when did you leave the city of Atlanta?
I retired in 2000 from the city of Atlanta, went to the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, worked there, started in the jail, worked patrol. I went to CID. From CID, I made sergeant. I was a night shift sergeant for a patrol shift. And then I went to the fugitive unit, the warrant unit in plain clothes. And then from there, I made lieutenant and was over the transport and civil division.
Now, did you receive any specialized training in investigations?
Yes, I mean, I've been as far as California on missing persons, violent crime network training. I've been to Valencia College 3 or 4 times on advanced sex crimes, advanced homicide, crimes, and like that.
Now, during 1999 and around April, could you describe what you were in the homicide division at that time?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury what happens when you get how does that work? Or how do you get assigned cases or what?
Well, okay. You were on a rotation system where you were up on call. And if anybody called for a homicide unit, you would answer and go wherever they asked you to go. You didn't go by yourself. Half the time, the whole unit would go. You were just the lead, and they would do other jobs needed at the scene.
And when you say lead, what does that mean to you?
You were up on call, and the case was going to get assigned to you.
And when you're lead, what kind of things do you focus on?
Well, you get to the scene, try to focus on directing the identification people to do fingerprints some places. Sometimes you don't. Take pictures and stuff like that. You may ask like the officer, the first responding officer, if there's a witness at the scene or something, you get the officer to take himself and the witness to the homicide office where they could give statements.
And let me draw your attention specifically to April 29th, 1999. I assume you were on call that day.
Yes.
And did you receive a call regarding a unexplained, well, I mean, what kind of call did you receive that day?
The way it works is Zone 3 Unit 2304, which meant he was a day shift unit working 304 speed, came over detective radio and called for a homicide unit. Each zone, and Atlanta still has 6 zones, they all have their own radio frequency. Detective division had their own frequency, and they would just switch their radio over to the detective frequency and call for a homicide unit.
So it was your turn.
It was my turn.
And where were you told you needed to report to?
He told me to come to the intersection of Avon and Hartford Way, southwest in Atlanta.
And what did you do?
I got in the car with the lieutenant, and investigator Tina Miller also rode with the lieutenant, Tony Biello, and we rode to that location.
And why did Investigator Miller accompany you?
Again, on a homicide, you need as many people as you can out there. We didn't know what we had other than a unit calling for us, and we could always use help.
And so she went along?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you got to that location, what did you observe?
When I rolled up, there was a decomposing head in the road standing upright. There's an old black plastic bag to the side, and there's an old mangy, like a stray dog with matted hair and all, kind of nasty, running around out there.
Okay. And where was it? Do you recall where that skull was located?
It was on the side of the roadway it was actually on the Avon side, because we used the address of 858 Avon Avenue.
Now, when you're investigating a crime scene, is it important to document information?
It is, yes.
And you document the reports and also pictures?
Well, I didn't take the pictures. I called for our ID section to come take the pictures, and it's up to them to document their pictures.
Okay. No, what I mean is that it's important to take pictures of
Yeah,
crime scenes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. May I approach a witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 3 through State's Exhibit 20. Would you please look at those and tell the jury what those are?
They're pictures of the general area of where it was located, and ID had saw certain objects. They put the little plackets up at, and it's,
Could you look through those, please?
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Those true and accurate pictures of what you observed that day?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd ask to admit the State's 3 through Exhibit 20, which are photos of the scene.
No objection.
Okay, Mr. Samuel, thank you. Exhibits 3 through 20 are admitted.
And I would ask to publish some of the pictures to the jury as we go through the testimony as far as
Okay.
warning.
Thank you. That's what I was waiting for you to ask.
Yes.
So ladies and gentlemen, as we discussed during the process of jury selection, I told you that I would warn you when we were going to show you photographs that are maybe graphic in nature. So I'm giving you a heads up that some of these photographs may be graphic in nature. Thank you. State may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay, show you what's been marked as, or what's been admitted as State's Exhibit number 3. Could you kind of describe that, make sure detail for the jury, as best you can?
It's an overall shot of the area where the head was found.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Sir, I'm sorry.
If
It's
you
a
could pull that microphone towards you, I think that'll be easier as well.
It's an overall shot of the area where the head was found, and the head's actually in the photo to the left here, or my left sitting looking at it. And you see where the patrol cars had blocked off the street.
But I do see some yellow things with numbers on them. What are those?
Plackets, ID team uses, they see stuff, or maybe an investigator will point out to put a placket, take a picture so they can be described later in their reports.
Okay. And what other items were there other than the placards?
Whether
Or I'm sorry, what other items were there than the skull that you described earlier?
there was a black plastic bag, it appeared to have decomposition in it, hair and fluids.
And was that significant to you as a investigator?
Yeah, later, when the cadaver dogs were called out, other body parts were found in the black plastic bag. Also had a fluid in it that ended up being bleach.
Okay. So when you saw those pieces of evidence, I assume that was kind of the first thing that was kind of done at the scene?
Yes, I cannot legally touch any body out there. It's all up to the medical examiner. I can look at it, I can have photographs taken of it, I can note it, but that's entirely up to the medical examiner's office to do any collection of body or body parts.
Were they contacted? Did you guys contact them, or?
Yeah, they came out to see.
Okay, do you recall who came out to the scene?
Mary Beth Happel and Dr. John Parker.
Okay.
The Mary Beth is an investigator for Polk County Medical Examiners, and Dr. Parker was a medical examiner.
Okay. And what did you do? What did you do next?
Well, we started, hard to run an investigation if you don't know who your victim is, and this one's even doubly hard. We didn't know what sex the person was.
Why is that?
The decomposition of the facial and the torso, we never found it. So you couldn't ever determine a sex at that time. The feeling is the torso contains the guts of the thing, and it would smell more, and the animals out there would have eaten it quicker.
Okay. Do you recall what the conditions were like that morning?
Yeah, I noted it.
Would you have noted that in your report?
As I wrote over with Lieutenant Biello and Investigator Miller, the weather conditions to be overcast with a intermittent mist, and the temperature was in the low 60s with a brisk breeze.
So after you got there and after the medical examiner got there, what did you do next?
Nothing, could do much other than make a report.
Did you talk to any? Do you remember speaking to any witnesses?
Well, there's a gentleman who had found the head. Gentleman's just in a wheelchair, but he wasn't in a wheelchair at that time. I talked with him. I sent him to the homicide office to give a statement, and the officer on the scene took him there for a statement.
Do you recall any other actions that you did out there at the scene that day?
That day, no.
So at this point, all you had was a skull and some plastic bags, pretty much.
Yeah.
Did you find anything else on a different day?
On a different day, yes. That's
Were you called back out to the scene?
yes. Went back out there with the medical examiner's office. they had gotten in some cadaver dogs from Cobb County. These people who owned the dogs were not associated with law enforcement in any way. They were just citizens who trained their dogs to become cadaver dogs and would help agencies as they needed it. And they came back out there, and that's when we started finding hands, feet, and other body parts. They were also in a black plastic bag, like I described earlier, and they were always double wrapped. There was always 2 bags per body part. That kind of makes sense with me there.
And I don't know, I don't know if you said, do you recall what date you went out to the scene?
The first, it was April 29th, and then this was June 3rd,
So that's approximately, what,
a month and a half later
month and a half later?
to get it set up.
Now, is the president, you mentioned bleach earlier,
I'm sorry.
You mentioned bleach earlier.
Yes,
Is that significant to collection of DNA?
it, not for the collection, for the destroying of DNA.
Your Honor, you've not been given an expert notice with regard to this witness.
Your response?
Well, Your Honor, I think that's not, I think it's something that a police officer can, based on police officers' evidence collection, could probably, could testify to as within their knowledge.
If you want to lay that foundation, I'll likely will allow it. Overruled for now, Mr. Samuel. Go ahead.
Okay. Did you learn about bleach?
Well, DNA, it's not the same as today. This was in the beginning stages of DNA. And a lot of things would interfere with DNA. When I worked sex crimes, if there was anal sodomy, the feces would ruin the DNA and you couldn't test it. Learned that bleach and
Where did you
gas,
learn
training
that?
classes I took.
Okay.
That would hurt DNA. Nowadays, they probably can do it even if there's bleach on it.
Well, what did you learn about bleach at that time? of the training?
That it would interfere with the ability to do DNA evidence with what they had to test with at that time.
Your Honor, at this time, I believe I've laid the foundation based on his training.
And we still never got notice of him being an expert. So if he's giving expert testimony about DNA, you're entitled to give a notice of that.
I understand your objection, but it's going to be overruled, and to the limited extent you've been asked the question, I'm going to let him answer it. Go ahead.
Thank you. I think he's already answered it.
I think he has.
Okay. What did you do? After you went out and in June, what did you do next on this case?
There's nothing I could do until, again, you can't start much of an investigation until you know who the person, what sex the person is, who the person is. You have nowhere to start. So Investigator Miller, who worked adult missing persons, is assigned to homicide. She would attempt to identify the body. Medical examiner's office was trying to identify. They could hook up with other medical examiner's offices and do the thing, and hook up and see if they had any information. I retired in 2000.
Okay, well, and that was, you never got an answer by the time you retired?
No.
Okay. I just have one more.
Sure.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Samuel?
Detective Kelly, my name is, it won't happen a second time.
That's okay.
It won't happen a third time. Detective Kelly, I don't believe we've met before, even though we've been around a long time together. So a couple questions. First of all, you said something about a dog on the scene. Do you have any reason to believe that that dog had ever moved the skull at all?
I believe so. I believe the dog drug it out of the woods. And
Or you're just speculating about that?
there was a video, VHS recording.
Can you stick with the microphone?
There was a VHS recording at one time that showed the dog dragging the bag out of the woods. Now, I don't know where it's
Dragging the
at now.
bag with the skull out of the woods?
Yes,
There was no detectives out there until after the skull was already there.
VHS recording. That's a security camera. It's so old. It was
Where's the evidence of that?
I'm sorry.
Has anybody ever had evidence of that? Is that in any police report anywhere?
I don't know.
Are you just kind of making it up today?
No.
I've read every report you've ever written, every report every other
No,
detective has
you haven't
written.
written all, written. There are reports missing. I don't know why, but there are some reports missing.
Have you told the DAs there are reports missing?
Yeah. But I mean,
Which DA did you tell that there are reports missing?
gentleman here just questioned me
Uh-huh.
that I had more reports in this file and they're not,
And
Where
where's
did
the,
it
where's the,
found?
where's the VHS?
I don't know.
Did you tell him there was a VHS recording that's missing? You told
Yes,
Mr. Wilson that? When did you tell him that?
the other day when he called me.
You told him the other day?
Sir?
You told him the other day?
Yes,
Is there a
told
reason?
me
you-
last week. Yeah,
And what else did the recording show?
just that.
Did it show how the skull got there at all?
Just what I described.
A dog pulling it out of the woods? Where from from what part of the woods?
Uh,
Well, it's not in your report, you know that.
I'm telling you, I have reports missing out of this file. This is not my whole file.
Take your time.
It's from a wooded area where we returned with the cadaver dogs. It was coming from that area where the other bodily parts were found in the woods.
What did the dog look like?
Like it was a stray dog. The hair was all matted and nasty looking.
Was there any dog hair found on the skull?
I don't know.
Was there any testing done of the skull to show that a dog had moved it?
I don't know how you do that because it was, remember the black plastic bag? It was ripped open. The dog was toting the bag and it fell out.
And you saw a video of that.
Yes,
What did you do with the video?
it was put in evidence.
You know, I think we need to take a break and talk to the district attorney's office for a moment here.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to step out for just a few minutes. It's 2:21. I'll try and get you back in here as quick as we can. Thank you all.
All right, for the jury.
Moment, please. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Don't wander far, okay? Mr. Samuel, that witness has now left the room.
Well, I have a couple questions. I'd like to know, first of all, whether Mr. Wilson will either corroborate or dispute that he's been given information about video camera evidence that's lost, his reports that are lost, evidence that they knew that the dog had dragged the skull out of the woods into the road. There's no police report about it. And now it turns out his actual statements are missing, all of which apparently he told the DA's office, none of which even comes close to ever having been revealed to us, ever.
Mr. Wilson?
If I could respond to this, Judge, because I was talking directly with this witness on this issue. if
Okay.
you'll allow it.
Well, sure.
I do have information about the comment about the dog from this witness. The video, I didn't know there was a video of that description until I had that discussion with this witness. The detectives, Shepard, suspected that there was a dog or dogs in the area that may have carried the head out from the wooded area to the street where it was located. That's been his theory since the beginning of the case.
Right, but inferring that from the presence of a dog that Mr. McEachern testified to is different than we recovered some sort of surveillance video that showed it, but then we lost it.
Sure, and that was never intended to be introduced into evidence by the state. That's why it wasn't elicited during direct. We had a video cassette. We had several small mini cassettes at the beginning before the case was indicted. Those were submitted to a company in the cabinet, were transferred over to a thumb drive, which was submitted in Discovery. And they're labeled as such, converted VHS. It's in Discovery. But that's the only VHS cassette that I received from APD Annex. The multiple times we've done it, I don't have a VHS cassette.
Okay, hang on. The physical nature of the physical medium in which the state might have it or not have it, I think is less important at this point than does the state have some sort of video that would line up with what this witness is saying he observed, like some digital video recording of that image?
I don't.
Okay, and so the videos that you're saying you were aware of that were reduced by a private company to a flash drive or something and were produced in Discovery, what are those?
Those are all statements, witness interviews.
Okay.
Which have been turned over.
Okay.
That's the only VHS cassette that I've seen in this case. A lot of mini cassettes that have also been converted. I only had one VHS cassette.
I appreciate that. Again, I think it would be easy to identify it if it was a VHS, in your possession, but I think more importantly is does anybody know that such a video ever existed, whether on VHS or anything else?
I didn't have the documentation of that in the Detective Calhoun's report. I
Mhm.
didn't have documentation of that in Detective Shepard's report. And I did see any reports that Detective Kelly had written that elicited that information. And of course, all the reports that I have from Detective Kelly appeared to be complete.
Okay.
I had no reason to believe they weren't. But so, like I said, I never intended that this information would come in because I didn't have a way to authenticate it. Other than that detective testimony, I knew that would have been permissible to elicit. He had just testified to it.
Okay.
I never intended for that to come out.
Mr. Samuel? I think the answer to your first question is, well, actually, to be honest, now that I'm trying to put it in words, I'm not actually sure I'm clear on what the answer is. And that was why I was trying to make the distinction between the VHS and the video.
Let me explain to you how I see the problem. We have been working on this case, Mr. McDermott in particular, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for Lord knows how many months at this point. He's been in communication with the DA's office. There's been a lot of open file. And yet apparently they're not telling us about evidence that's lost, about videos that are lost, about their second witness on the stand who's saying he was the chief investigator in the case and some percentage of his reports are lost. Now, either the DA's office says they were oblivious to all of that and they learned that the same time I did, or they've known it all along and didn't tell anybody. Meaning you, us, the destruction of evidence, the loss of evidence that may be important, the loss of police reports from witnesses. From a chief investigator from the original crime scene, he says his reports are missing, and nobody's telling us, blurt that out on cross-examination for the first time. And, this business about bleach is not in his report. There's references to bleach in the report, but according to the crime lab that we interviewed, it had nothing to do with bleach in the bags. It was bleach that was done by the crime lab to clean the bones.
And that's a matter for cross-examination.
Well, but he's saying, now he's saying, I've got bleach in the bags. There's no report anywhere that says that.
And again, that's a matter for cross-examination unless there is some report that has not been provided to you. But I'm going to ask you to put a pin in that for a moment and revisit this with Mr. Fawcett or Mr. Wilson. I'm still not sure I understand the answer to the question, which is, before Detective Kelly took the stand, did the state have an understanding that he believed there were other reports that he had made that were missing, number one, and number two, that he believed there was a video showing what he's described about a dog with a bag in its mouth pulling it into the street, which was containing some body part or other? Two questions. What are the answers to those two questions?
Yes, I was providing that information last week when I spoke.
Okay. And what efforts did you take to determine if such evidence did in fact ever exist and or was lost or in your possession?
Well, I went back to the file to see if there were additional reports by Detective Kelly. So the reports from Detective Kelly, I sent him portions from the file that we turned over. I went through our additional discovery. I saw additional reports that were turned over. Similar reports to the first one. They were 1 or 2 pages, so not what he's discussing. But I wasn't able to locate any additional reports by Detective Kelly, and that's been through the several times that I've gone through the discovery.
Okay. And okay, so you were aware that Detective Kelly believed that there were other reports that were not in your file.
That was last week, yes.
Okay, but I understand you only became aware of it last week, but you did become aware of it at some point.
That's correct.
And what about the second question, which is, were you aware that Detective Kelly believed there was some sort of surveillance video that had been recorded at the time that reflected what he's described?
Yeah, that's the same conversation. But
Okay.
Yes.
And did you disclose, and I'm not implying here that you were obligated to, we can have that conversation in a moment. My question though is, did you disclose to the defense at any time that Detective Kelly believed that there were reports that were missing or that he believed there was a surveillance video that was missing?
I did not have that discussion.
Mr. Samuel, I think I've gotten the answer to those questions. What, go ahead.
Well, I have the same. The first question says, why would you not disclose that to the defense? That we're going to put a witness on the stand who, in essence, is going to ambush you on cross-examination because you think, defense counsel, you have all of his reports. We know you don't. So if you cross-examine him, you're going to find out that he's going to say, oh, that's absolutely true. I have got additional reports. They just were never given to you.
What obligation does he have to disclose to
The
you?
prosecution has an obligation to report missing evidence, right? A VHS camera. He can't just say, it's missing, so I'm just not going to bother asking questions about it on direct examination and let the defense attorneys walk into a trap where the witness can say, oh yeah, what other videotapes are missing? Do they have a videotape of the crime being committed they haven't told us about that was lost? I mean, this is somewhat not the most important thing in the case, whether the skull was dragged out of the woods or whether it wherever it came from. I'm just very concerned if by witness number 2, we're discovering that the prosecution knows there's missing evidence, missing surveillance cameras, missing police reports. They know that that's true, and they're not even telling us that. It's bad enough that they're missing, which is understandable after 20 years to some extent. It's not understandable why they wouldn't tell us.
So the question then, Mr. Samuel, is what relief would you have the court give you in light of the fact that it wasn't disclosed to you? Is that not something that you can remedy on cross-examination and with his witness and argument?
I have no idea what he's going to say because I don't know, no idea what this witness is going to say that hasn't been disclosed to us. The whole point of discovery in a criminal case is you give us your witness statements. Now it turns out he knows a lot more about this case.
I understand.
Did they know? The
But that wasn't my
prosecution
question.
knows.
My question was, what remedy would you have me fashion to address this issue if I agree with you that this is a problem? Is it
I
go
think-
talk to the detective and figure out what he's going to say before you have to cross-examine him in front of the jury?
I was actually going to suggest that you tell the jury, disregard the witness's statement as of now. At some point later in the trial, if they want to bring him back after disclosing to us the statements he gave to them that's missing from what they gave to us, if there's something more than the VHS, something more about the bleach, something more about whatever I haven't, stumbled upon yet. When a witness talks to them, that's a witness statement also that hasn't been turned over to us. Not just the witness statement that's lost, but what he told them last week is a witness statement that hasn't been disclosed to us. You can't interview a witness, find out relatively important information and say, I'm not going to put it in writing, so the defense attorney's never going to learn about it.
Understand. Thank you, Mr.
I would ask that the witness you tell the jury not to pay attention to what the witness has testified to, and we'll bring them back later in the trial if appropriate,
Thank you, Mr. Samuel.
after the prosecution does what it's supposed to do.
Mr. Fawcett?
Yes, I think I could understand, still wouldn't agree with it, but I could certainly understand Mr. Samuel's position if we were going to take his, I guess where he's going with it, there's some nefarious intents and bad faith on the part of the prosecution to do that. I will say I am not immune to oversight for overlooking items, but hindsight I would have. But I will say this: I had no intention on not turning that information over. I didn't think it was of any consequence. I thought at the minimum it would benefit the state. But finding that information out on Friday or Thursday before the trial, I did think that was somewhat of an ambush. And again, also at the same time, I would say this: I believe the defense has contacted just about every witness that we've had on the witness list since the beginning of this trial. Detective Kelly's name has been in the discovery since the discovery was turned over. There are 3 total detectives, and I know for a fact they've subpoenaed detectives from the patent investigation. And so if they had called the Detective Kelly, he would have been willing to speak with them. But to infer that there's some nefarious intent in the process of just simply preparing for trial and interviewing the witnesses, I think it's a bit much. At a minimum, at a maximum, I can understand the court we're going to instruct the jury to disregard the last statement, but to instruct the jury to disregard the entirety of his visual observations and testimony about that when he arrives at the scene, I don't believe there's any reason for the court to decide in that manner.
Okay. I have a couple of questions. Let me try that again. Has the defense spoken or attempted to speak to Detective Kelly prior to today?
We have not, Your Honor, and I'm looking for the state's witness list that was sent to us currently because I don't think we were ever given any contact information for him, and he's retired, so usually not kept by the police department.
That the state provided does list Detective Kelly as Detective Dale Kelly, APD.
Okay.
So, that doesn't actually answer my question. Is your answer that you haven't attempted to contact Detective Kelly because you weren't provided contact information and you weren't able to otherwise locate him because he's retired?
That wouldn't be 100% honest, no.
Okay.
If I could say, I'm not sure the blame should be on us.
I'm not implying that I'm blaming you. I'm asking what information did the defense have that they could have exercised in terms, right? I'm just trying to understand the scope of this. It'd be one thing, for example, if y'all had tried to contact the detective and he'd refused to speak with you. That's what I'm trying to figure out. So
I understand that's your question. I'm not quite sure the consequence of it. If we trust the prosecution, that when they give us the reports, we have the reports. If we have to go and consult all 18 of the witnesses on the list now, all 30 of the witnesses last week, and all 150 in the original list, and say what is missing from your police reports, this case wouldn't have been ready to be tried this year.
Okay.
But
Thank you, Mr.
understand
Samuel.
your question.
So I still think that the answer to the way to resolve this in the most expeditious manner is for y'all to go into that conference room with Detective Kelly and find out what he's going to say is missing from his report. Because whether or not Mr. Fawcett should have told you is a different matter than whether or not this detective can testify truthfully about what he believes happened in response to questions. Mr. Fawcett is correct that they didn't solicit that testimony. And to the extent that you believe you've not been given complete information, Mr. Fawcett has made representations about what additional information he believes there is. And you can ask Mr. Detective Kelly those questions while we wait and bring the jury back in. I don't think, I mean, it's 2:40. I feel like an initial conversation with that detective to find out what else he's going to say and how many reports he thinks are missing. That's a fair conversation for y'all to have before I decide what to do about his testimony, or to simply have him retake the stand and let's continue his cross-examination with you having the benefit of the additional information that he believes is missing. Mr. Fawcett, is that, or Mr. Wilson? I think he's technically your witness, but
Yes. And so the court's going to go in, would the court allow a recess for them to speak with the witness?
yes, that's exactly what I'm proposing.
I think that's a way to do it.
So, Mr. Wilson, if you will go and gather Detective Kelly, and y'all can either discuss it in the lobby, or you can go into that conference room in the atrium there, or you can go in that conference room and discuss with him what items he believes are missing or that sort of thing. Thank you. We are in recess until 3 o'clock, or if y'all come back sooner than that or later, tell me. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, in a moment, Mr. Samuel is going to resume his examination of this witness. Before he does, I'm just going to instruct you that this detective's testimony regarding a surveillance showing a dog, that information, that I am instructing you to disregard that testimony. Do you understand? Any problem with complying with that instruction? Okay, thank you all. Mr. Samuel, you may resume your examination.
Thank you. Detective Kelly, you mentioned on your direct examination something about bleach, and I want to clarify that as well. Am I correct that you don't have any independent knowledge that there was bleach in the bags? Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. In fact, what you've learned was that the bleach was put on the jawbone and on the skull at the crime lab or at the medical examiner's office, correct?
Yes, it was
Okay. So there wasn't bleach in the bags. There was decomposition of
fluid.
flesh and whatever, but there wasn't bleach that was put in the bag,
No,
correct?
that's, yes, there's an understanding between me and somebody else.
Speak up a little bit for these old
Yes,
ears.
you're correct.
Okay. All right. All right, now, you indicated before that you were missing some police reports, right? Or at least one. And during the break, you and I had a quick conversation, right?
Yes, sir.
And the police report that's missing is the one dealing with the second time you all went out to the scene. The first time is in April, the second time is in June. Is that correct?
Well, I was provided more reports that I did not have or was not given to me at this time. And then the one I'm referring to now is 6/3 of 99.
Right, and that one you don't have and nobody has, but you and I discussed it, so it's as good as if we had a police report, right? Okay, so in June, you go back out there and you're in the same general vicinity or somewhere out there, is that right?
The wooded area,
Wooded area.
Yeah.
You're not on the road anymore.
no, sir.
And now we have black plastic bags, no bleach or anything, but black plastic bags that have different parts of the skeleton, frankly, right?
Of human remains, yes, sir.
Human remains, okay. And you gathered those up and they all get sent to either the medical examiner or the crime lab, correct?
Well, no, I did not gather them. I did
You were
not
present.
touch. I was present when
Yes.
it was being done. The medical examiner's office was there. They took custody of them immediately.
Right, and they've taken me either to the Fulton Medical Examiner or eventually the crime lab, or someone we'll be hearing from later on in this trial.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did you actually see where the black bags were found in the wooded area? Were you watching as they were collected, even though you don't put hands on them?
Yes,
Okay. And the people who were putting hands on are
medical examiner.
they wearing gloves?
Yes,
I'm sorry, we have a
Medical
problem, double
examiner.
problem, my ears and your soft voice.
medical examiner and their investigator that was out there.
And they wear gloves, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
very gloving.
Right. And so on these bags, if there's DNA evidence on any of these bags, presumably it's not going to be crime lab people or detectives because you all are too careful about that, right?
They were. I was not touching anything.
Right. You don't touch them and they're wearing gloves like you see the crime lab people on TV always doing. Okay. Now, were these bags buried?
I remember some of them were buried very shallow.
Okay. So just kind of give us an overview that you're in a wooded area. They're like buried under leaves, or did you have to use shovels to dig dirt out?
I don't recall.
Okay, fair enough. It's 25 years ago.
Yeah.
There were paths through the wooded area. Do you recall that?
Yes,
Okay. Were some of the bags just simply placed on a path?
I don't recall if they were placed simply on the path or not.
Okay, well, you wouldn't know. Placed is a verb that you wouldn't know, but were they located on the side of the path or right in the path?
I'm gonna say on the side.
Okay, so anybody walking on a path would have seen the bag, presumably.
You would think, yes.
Okay, and it's now June
Mhm.
of 1999.
Yes.
And that's the first time, as far as you know, that those bags were ever moved from the path or to the side of the path.
Yes.
Was there any evidence that you remember, and I know you don't have the report, it's missing, but in your memory, do you remember seeing loose dirt as if other people, the cadaver dogs, were digging up the ground as opposed to the bags being on the
I
surface?
don't recall.
Very good, okay. Those are my questions, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson, redirect?
They just have one.
Sure. Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Thank
You are excused as a witness. State may call its next witness.
We call Tina Miller.
Thank you, ma'am. If you'll come up to the witness stand, and once you get here, before you have a seat, if you'll turn and face the deputy and raise your right hand.
You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before today shall be true, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes, sir. You may be seated, or you can. Say this for your name, for the court reporter.
Tina, Tina Miller, Miller.
Where do you work, ma'am?
I currently work for the Gwinnett County Medical Examiner's Office
How long have you worked there for?
since 2018.
What did you do before that?
Prior to that, I worked for the Atlanta Police Department. I retired as a lieutenant in 2014.
Were you a certified law enforcement officer while you were working with the city of Atlanta?
That's correct, yes.
Could you kind of tell the jury about your go quickly through your career as a law enforcement officer.
Okay. Right out of high school, I went into the United States Army where I was trained as a military police soldier. When I got out, my goal has always been to go into law enforcement. I got that basic training there in the military. When I got out of the Army, I applied to the Atlanta Police Department. I was hired in 1984, started my training with them, and retired in 2014. While at the Atlanta Police Department, I served in Zone 6 as a patrol officer. I was promoted to detective a couple years later. I was assigned to narcotics, where I spent 5 years working undercover and buying and working drugs in the city of Atlanta. I spent 5 years working fugitive after that. Then I went to the homicide unit, where initially I worked aggravated assaults, and then went on to do adult missing persons in the homicide unit.
And could you describe the duties of an adult missing persons detective, what you did?
Yes, any adult missing in the city, 17 and older, would come to my desk, and I would follow up on the case, contact the reporting person, and do legwork in an attempt to find the individual. Typically, what I would do is go out to neighborhoods. If they had a substance abuse problem, I would go out to the neighborhoods they were known to frequent and see if I could locate them, get word on the street that their family was missing them, and I had a pretty good success rate with getting them or finding them.
And were you called in to assist on a case of a skull found in April, the end of April of 1999?
Yes, I was.
Could you please tell the jury what the circumstances of that were?
I was working homicide and doing missing persons, and my lieutenant would have me go out on scenes where situations like that, if we had a missing person or we had somebody, we didn't know who they were. And on this particular day, the call came in that Uniform had responded to a call where there was a human skull in the roadway, and went out there with him and Detective Kelly. So I rode with the lieutenant, and we went out and secured the scene and took information and worked the scene.
And where was that located?
On Avon Avenue.
And was that in the city of Atlanta,
Yes, it was.
Fulton County, Georgia?
Yes, it was.
Did you, when you first got to, what do you recall when you first got to the scene?
Obviously, Uniform had responded, and they had blocked off the roadway with crime scene tape. And I remember seeing the skull sitting upright in the roadway with a white stick in front of it, or a painted white piece of wood. And there was a black trash bag, and also various items that had probably come out of the bag or off of the skull in the roadway.
And is it, I know you didn't do it, but is it important to document the crime scene using photographs?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm going to show you what's been previously marked in States Exhibit 21 and 22. I'm sorry, may I approach?
Yes.
Are you familiar with those?
Yes.
What are they?
They are crime scene photographs of extremities in a black trash bag that were found by me later when we went back out to the scene to search for additional remains.
And are those true and accurate depictions of the scene?
Yes, they are.
Or at this time, I'd ask the 21 and 22 be admitted into evidence.
Mr. McDermott?
Objection.
Okay. 21 and 22 are admitted.
Now let's go back to the 29th of April. I'm going to show you what's been previously entered as States Exhibit number 3.
Do you mean the 28th of April or 29th?
29th of April, 2000.
Is that the initial call?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Right. Now you can see on the screen, you can look on the screen. And that's States Exhibit 3. That shows that depicts the scene at Avon Avenue.
Yes, it does.
Could you kind of point out to the jury what significant things are on the street?
Am I pointing up here?
Yes, actually, that's probably a good idea. Your Honor, witness have permission to leave the stand to help.
Sure. Just a reminder to speak up so that the court reporter and the rest of the courtroom can hear
Okay.
you. Thank you, ma'am.
Here we have the skull, which is now sitting up with the white board in front of it. Here's the black trash bag, and these are items that either came out of the bag or came off the skull, because the skull was believed had been struck.
Did you closely observe that skull?
Yes,
And did there appear to be damage to the bone structure?
yes.
And what damage was there?
I can't recall specifically, but I can't recall specifically. Because there were pieces.
Show you what's been marked as States 4. And what does that show?
That shows, again, a different angle of the scene where it's down toward, I believe it's down toward Hartford, looking up Avon Avenue.
And what is significant in that picture as far as this investigation?
Again, you can see the skull, you can see the back black trash bag and other miscellaneous like parts that may have been skin or bone.
Let me show you what's been marked as States 5. What does that depict?
Closer photograph.
Show you State 6. Is that a different photograph of it?
Yes, this is more toward the railroad tracks, looking back to your right.
I'll show you what's been marked, or what's been entered, excuse me, in States Exhibit number 11. And what is that a picture of?
That is the black trash bag.
There's a yellow card that has, for lack of a better term, the number 2 on it. What is that?
That is a marker that was, I believe it was put out by the medical examiner's office to indicate later that they could diagram what was there by the number and reference it later as to what was there.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibit number 15. And that is?
That's the actual skull in the roadway.
And where was that in location to? Are you familiar with the business next or very close to the Action Glass?
Yes,
How far is that away from Action Glass?
not very, it's, if you walk back on the other side behind, like going to the right here, you would go to the intersection and the glass company is right across the street at that intersection.
And if you observed the skull, was there any decompensation or decomposition
Yes, it was.
about that skull? How would you categorize that?
Advanced decomposition.
As the skull sat there, were you able to make any identifications at all?
Absolutely not.
Could you tell anything about that other than it was a skull?
No, not at all. Not on that particular day, no.
How long were you out at the scene?
Probably a few hours.
And did you do anything else at that scene on that day?
I assisted with anything that the homicide investigators needed to be done, and I also assisted Mary Beth Hoptel in photographing by just showing her, pointing out different items in the roadway that may be related to the skull.
But she actually took pictures,
Absolutely.
not you.
No, I did not.
What else did you do that day?
I believe that was it.
Okay. Were you out there on a different, well, did you do what work did you do on that case starting that day?
Well, initially, the case was handled by a homicide investigator. And once the medical examiner's office collected the remains, because basically they handle remains or a decedent on the scene. And I was in communication with them and assisting the homicide detective in trying to find out who this individual was.
Was it important to find other parts of the individual?
Yes.
And had you been able to do that yet?
No, not at that time, not that day, no.
Okay. So what's the next significant day that occurs in your investigation?
The next time was probably, I think, June 3rd of '99. Initially, there was some question that that particular head belonged to an individual that was not in the Atlanta area. The investigators were able to determine that that head did not belong to the individual in Middle Georgia. They found all of their remains, and it was determined by dental that our skull did not go with that body. And so my supervisor suggested that I get a cadaver dog, and a cadaver dog is trained to sniff for human remains and go back out there, which we did.
Who all went out there with you that day?
The medical examiners had sent investigators out, and also the homicide unit was out there. And because the area we were going to check was railroad property, we had 2 railroad detectives as well assisting us.
And you remember what side of the street the skull was found on?
Correct.
Was that where you were searching?
We were searching, there's a wooded area which would be across from the skull. We were searching the other side of that as well as that wooded area.
And were you able to find anything?
No,
How long were you out there searching?
probably all morning.
And you were using a cadaver dog?
Yes, we were.
And there was, how many people do you think there was approximately?
Maybe 8.
How long did you stay searching at that?
They stayed for several hours, and then another call came up. And when the other homicide call came up, they all left to go handle that call. And me, the dog handler, and the 2 railroad policemen stayed.
And what happened next?
We were standing there discussing, kind of what to do next or further options. And a gentleman that owned the garage on the corner came out, and he said, "You might want to check the wooded area behind my shop." He said, "People use that as a cut through, and there's people back there doing drugs, and you might want to check that." And we did.
And what did you find?
The railroad policeman didn't go with us, but me and the dog handler entered the wooded area, and there was kind of a path. So we're kind of walking through the path, and I'm following the dog. And the dog kept going, and I noticed off to the side a black trash bag. And I picked up the trash bag, and it was rather heavy. I opened the trash bag, and an item of clothing fell out. And it looked kind of moldy and off-colored. Well, there was another bag inside that was also it was heavy. And so I pulled it open, and when I pulled it open, I saw flesh. And I pulled it open a little more, and I saw the beginnings of toes on a foot. And at that point, I realized we'd found additional human remains, and I believe that to be a female foot.
Okay, who all was out there at that point?
Me and the dog handler.
And then what did you do next?
At this point, the dog had gone ahead of me, and the dog went around to an area kind of behind where I was and found the leg and thigh that was in that photograph.
Okay, and let me go ahead and have you take a look at States 21. And what is States 21 describe?
That is the thigh, lower leg bone that the dog hit on. Or
Was
leg bone.
that originally in a bag?
I believe so, but not when we found it.
Okay.
Because there's a trash bag that was nearby.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as States 22. Could you describe it? Ed, what is that?
That is a black trash bag.
And was there anything inside of that?
Now, I can't tell from that photograph if that's the one that was next to the thigh and lower leg bone, or if that was another one.
How many trash bags did you find out of that scene?
I actually just dealt individually with the 2, but other bags were recovered. Once I found realized what we had, I immediately contacted my supervisor in homicide to let them know we had additional remains and they needed to return to where I was, my location.
Now, let me ask you this. How far were those bags from where the skull was initially discovered?
Not very far. The street ran in front of the little junkyard car repair place. This was directly behind it, so not even a block.
And how long did you stay on the scene for that?
Several hours, because the medical examiner's office came out. We, searched that area and found the additional bags, and then they collected them. After they documented where they were, photographed them, then they collected them.
And there's a business Action Glass.
Yes,
How far was Action Glass from the discovery of the additional evidence?
right across the street,
So within,
50 feet, if that far.
what did you do next?
On that particular day, again, the remains were collected by the medical examiner's office, and they were taken to the medical examiner's office for the examination. And I assisted the homicide guys with whatever. I had gone back and I checked again for my records, and I did not have a missing person fitting any description in that area.
So what did you do next on this case?
Again, just assisted the. You want me to fast forward?
Sure.
Okay, I was promoted out of homicide, and but before then, I worked with the medical examiner's office in trying to find out, did we have a white male, black male, male, female? What did we have with the skull? And the people, the individuals at the medical examiner's office determined that the skull belonged to a white male. I didn't agree with that, but they were the experts, and so it was listed on the system as a white male. And what we did was we put the individual, we put the skull for sure. And we had to do them separately because at this point we didn't know they were the same person. I put the individual on GCIC, which is the Georgia Crime Information Network, and then there's the NCIC, which is the national database. And in a perfect world, that was set up so that when we put that information in, if there's a missing person that fits that description, as limited as we have, we would get a hit on it, and it would say, "Hey, look at this person. This may be who this is." That did not happen.
Okay. May I just have a moment?
Yes.
What else did you have to do with this case?
Again, I met regularly with Dr. Terry and talked to her about the case.
Who's Dr. Terry?
She's, at the time, she was a medical examiner working out of Fulton County. She's a forensic pathologist that was looking, at the time, we were working together looking at the unidentifieds that she had in her office and the missing persons I had in my office. And we were comparing notes, trying to get our individuals identified.
Okay, but as far as the scene and everything, that completed your work on this case?
Yes, that completed my work.
Nothing further.
Thank you. Mr. McDermott?
Your Honor, I hate to do this, but I've just received, literally just now, about 70 or 80 new photos of this particular crime scene with bags. And I would ask the court to have a brief recess to be able to line some of these new photos up, choose a few and talk to her about this.
Okay.
Across.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to step out for just a moment while we get ready to examine this witness further. It is 3:32, and I'll have you back in here as quickly as I can. Thank you.
All right, for the jury.
Thank you. Please be seated. Anything you need from me while you do that?
Not really, thank you.
Okay. Then we are, say, maybe a 10-minute recess until 3:45.
15 when we go further.
Okay. 3:50 it is. Ma'am, if you will step down, you can just hang out outside, but don't wander far, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. We are in recess until 3:50. is a, I believe I saw him in the hallway as I was coming in. Can we get our witness back, please? Come on back up to the stand, ma'am. As you're returning to the stand, just since we took a break, I'll just remind you that when you began testifying, you were sworn in and that you continue to be under oath. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Please have a seat. Mr. McDermott, you may begin your examination.
Ms. Miller, first of all, there's a T.R. Miller in several of the reports. Is that you also?
Yes, that's me.
Okay, thank you. You were called out, were you called out with the group on June 3rd? And that was when the parts were first discovered.
Yes.
Okay. And there was a second group that went out on the 4th. Were you also part of that group?
You've got, we're talking about June.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
I think that was just one day that we were out there,
That you went out.
that we went out.
Okay. So I just want to be clear. You only remember going out one day.
There was the day where we found the remains, and we may have gone back another time and did a grid search.
Okay. That would have been like weeks later or several days later?
I can't recall. I
That's
can't
fine.
recall.
You mentioned a search that was done in conjunction with the railroad police.
That's correct.
That would have been across the street from Action Glass and the other businesses, right?
That's correct.
And nothing was recovered from that search?
No, it wasn't. The dog, one of the employees from the medical examiner's office was concerned about a black bag that was over there that the dog kind of looked at, urinated on, and kept walking. And turns out there was a dead dog in the bag. So,
Ah.
so the dog was justified in passing it by.
Was that an active rail line at the time?
I believe it was.
So I want to show you a couple of more of the photos that were taken from the day the remains were found. If I want to show that to her, I want to share my screen now.
If you need her to identify it before you, in order to lay a foundation to have it admitted, you really need to show her in physical form if you are able.
Don't have that.
It is, perhaps you could show it to her on your
On my computer.
screen.
Yeah, I'll do that.
It is possible to only broadcast to one screen, but it's exceedingly difficult. Yes, sir, granted.
I want to show her all four that I have.
Go ahead.
Do you remember, does this ring look familiar?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We have one computer.
No, I understand.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So for the record, I've shown you 5 photographs.
Yes.
And those familiar to you?
Yes.
And are they fair and accurate representations of what you observed the day that you were on the scene
Yes.
on June 3rd?
Yes.
Okay. Permission to publish, Your Honor?
I'm going to let you
All right,
finish them, but can you give me a designation so we've heard our
These
record?
would be defense 1 through 5.
Okay.
And
And
move those to evidence, please.
defense exhibits 1 through 5, Mr. Wilson, any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, exhibits 1 through 5 from the defense are admitted and you may publish.
Thank you. I hope this works. Oops. My apologies to the court. Perfect. An update is being installed.
Isn't technology great?
And on top of that, I understand you have a plane to catch.
I do, sir.
See if I can go about this a different way. This will be a little slower, but I'll go one at a time. Finally. And can you describe what's going on in this picture?
That appears to be the area where the thigh and long leg bone, lower leg bone was.
Okay. And does that appear to be in a, what you described earlier as a kind of a walking path or a cut through?
That's actually, the walking path is further over to like the upper part of the screen. This was a lower area closer to the street,
Okay. So that was close to the street or closer to the street?
closer to the street.
Okay. All right. And is this the same item
Yes, it is.
from a different perspective? Okay.
Yes, it is.
All right.
For record purposes, was that D1 and D2?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now displaying D3. And can you explain what we're looking at here?
It looks like one of the black trash bags.
And is that in kind of a clearing or a little path? A little
It looks
path
like it may be off the path.
Okay. Is it visible from the path?
I don't recall. I don't know where the photographer was standing in relation if he was on the path or she was on the path.
And what are we looking at here? Defense 4.
Another trash bag.
And can you remember or recall the general location of this as to where you were looking?
No, not without looking at a diagram.
Okay. And final one, Defense 5. What are we looking at here?
Again, that looks like trash bags. And if I'm seeing this correctly, that looks like the thigh and lower leg bone over to where the number 2 is.
Okay. And again, just same difficulty with the location.
No, it's going to be, if that's the leg bone, that's going to be on that further side.
Okay. Further side meaning from Avon Avenue back further behind the business.
If you come in off Hartford,
Okay.
this would be to the right more so than where the foot was that I recovered.
Okay.
This
I
would
see.
be off to the right. It appeared at the time that perhaps an animal had tore open that bag and it was off to a right, more toward the street.
This one, this back here?
Correct. Again, if I'm seeing that correctly, and that is the thigh, there was a bag nearby that thigh.
Is it fair to say that this is not stuffed back in the brush?
No, this was the thigh and the lower leg was pulled out from the brush.
Well, did you see it pulled out?
No, it was found,
right there.
right, it was found not in a bag anymore.
Okay,
with
but
a
in that
bag nearby.
location.
Yes,
Okay. And as it is in that location, it's not shoved up in the brush or anything.
no, it appeared to have been pulled out of the brush. It was more in a clearing area.
Thank you. You said one of your jobs was to point out items that may have been associated with the skull in the road. This is, of course, going back to April 29th. Is that
That's
correct?
correct.
And did you find any other items?
Just the pieces that appeared to have either come out of the bag or off the skull.
And some of those were far down the road, correct?
They were a little further down, not too far, but further down.
And is that what you were referring to when you said it looked like it had been possibly hit by a vehicle?
That's correct.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson?
Thank you. Very briefly.
That's fine.
May I approach?
Yes.
And I've shown you a picture of exhibit number 2. Do you recognize that, what that is?
Yes, I do.
What was that?
That's the area, and it's an overview of the area where the skull and the additional remains were found.
And is that an accurate description of how the streets and how that part of the town looked?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, I'd ask that states number 2 be admitted into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
Exhibit 2 is admitted.
I'd go ahead and publish that.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. Can you step off of the stand and point to where the skull was?
Okay. No,
Or actually, first,
Okay.
before you do
Yes.
that, can you just describe what that is for the jury?
it's an overview of that neighborhood. It's a little different now than it did back then, obviously. The skull would have been found in this area right here, right in here. This was at the time, I don't know if it was a junkyard or a mechanic shop. There was a gentleman that either owned that or worked there that was the one that referred us back here. And this is Hartford Avenue. This is the glass company, and the train tracks were back here on the other side of this grassy area, or not grassy, but with the vegetation.
And when you described that you were searching on the 6th, or in June.
Okay.
What area did you first focus on?
When we went out there with the cadaver dog, it was this area. We went further down and started at the end where the tree started and came down. And once the additional call came up where everybody kind of left because we had not found anything, we were standing at this intersection, the dog handler and the 2 railway policemen, when the gentleman came out and he told us about coming back here. I believe this may be a more modern picture because there were no houses. The houses were down here at that time.
And that's where you found the remains.
Correct.
You can have a seat. Thank you. I'm showing you what's been marked as state 64. Is that familiar to you?
Yes, it is.
And, could you describe it?
They're black trash bags that are in the wooded area.
And I'm also going to show you what's been marked as state 65. Okay, is that familiar to you?
Yes, it is.
And what is it?
It's another black trash bag in the wooded area.
And are those fair and accurate representations of how you found things?
Yes, yes, they are.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd ask states 64 and 65 be entered in or admitted into evidence.
Mr. McDermott?
No objection.
64 and 65 are admitted.
Thank you. And I'd like permission to publish these.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, as you can see on there, where was this found?
It was in that wooded area.
Was that off the path? Or when you answered earlier question, 5 feet on the path or off the path? Do you recall what this was?
This was off the path.
Do you recall what were in those bags?
No, I don't.
But those are relevant?
No, there were remains in the bags that were collected by the medical examiner's office.
But that's how they were found.
Correct.
Show you states at 65. Okay. And what is that
That's
picture describe?
another bag that was in that area, and I'm not sure if that's the bag that had the foot in it, because I really can't tell. If I got up and look closer, maybe. I can't tell, but there were remains in the bag.
Would you like to take a closer look at it?
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to
Okay.
tell.
And where was that bag?
Again, in the wooded area.
Same general area?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Any questions on those questions, Mr. McDermott?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
Thank you, Judge.
State name, call its next witness.
Your Honor, the state calls China Pet.
Stand. Before you have a seat, if you'll turn and face the deputy and raise your right hand, he'll swear you in.
You swear affirm that testimony you will give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and nothing but the truth.
When you do, just be careful of that ledge because your chair's on wheels.
Yeah, I see that.
Get yourself situated, move up to the microphone. and
Thank
if you'll
you.
State and spell your name for my record, please.
Okay, it's Tina May Patton, Patton.
Ms. Patton, good afternoon.
Hey,
All right. Can you tell the court what part of the county, where are you from?
I'm from Henry County.
All right. And are you familiar with the name Melissa Wolfenbarger?
Yes, sir.
All right. How do you know Melissa Wolfenbarger?
She's my sister.
Do you have any other siblings?
No, just her.
All right. And is that your biological sister?
Yes.
Can you talk about where you and your sister Melissa Wolfenbarger grew up?
Well, part of my life, we were in Ellenwood, Forest Park area. And then the other part, most of the time when Melissa was in school, we were in Stockbridge or McDonough, Locust Grove,
How many years did you live in the same household with Melissa?
until I was 18 when I left.
Okay. And are you the same age as Melissa, or are you guys different ages?
No, she's younger. There's
Okay.
7 years in between me and Melissa.
All right. And who lived with you and Melissa in your residence growing up?
It was me, Melissa, my dad, well, our dad and our mom. And for a little while, our granddad on my dad's side, Papa,
Okay. And what is your mother's name?
Norma
And what's your last name?
Patton,
And what is your father's name?
Carl Patton.
Okay. And were your mother and father together throughout
Sir.
your childhood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what type of relationship did you have with your sister growing up?
Well, there were 7 years between us. So we were doing different things at different ages. I mean, there were 7 years between us. So when I was 7 and was out playing and stuff, she was a baby. So we wasn't that close. I mean, we lived in the same house and we played outside and stuff, but we wasn't like 1 year between us that kind of close.
Okay. And do you live with anyone now?
Just my husband.
Okay. Now, you said that you lived in the same household with Melissa until about 18. Is that correct?
I was 18 when I left.
And what did you do? What did you do? And where did you go when you left the rest of us?
Well, at 18, when I left, I was in Stockbridge probably for about a year with my dad's Aunt Marie with her daughter. Elaine. I lived with her for a little while. And then after that, I ended up in Las Vegas, actually, Nevada. I
Okay.
had my son out there.
All right. And when do you make your way back to the Georgia area?
When my daughter was, let's see, she was born in 90. So probably about February of 91, we came back to Atlanta. Well, I came back to Atlanta with both my kids.
All right. So it's February 91, you left at 18. Roughly how many years has passes between those two events?
3 years.
All right. During that period, did you keep in contact with your family members?
Yeah. Melissa came to Tucson, Arizona and lived with me for a little while
Okay. All right.
before I had Kimberly.
All right. That would have been during that 3-year period?
Mhm.
So from, say, 18, 19 to mid-20s? All right. And so when you came back, did you live by yourself or live with someone else?
No, I went back to mom and dad's house.
All right.
And Melissa was still at home.
All right. And so you're about, say, mid-20s during that period?
2021.
All right. How long did you stay at the residence with Melissa and your mother and father?
I stayed there pretty much until 90, well, probably late 94, probably when I left again.
Okay.
But I'm thinking about 95 because 95 was when I got married to my first husband, David. And that was in early 95 though.
How long? It's okay. All right.
So it was probably about October or so of 94, I guess,
All right.
when I left.
Were you employed, working anywhere during that
I
period?
wasn't working. I was pregnant at that time.
Okay. And at some point, did you start working?
When I went back home,
And where did you start working?
Waffle House
All right.
again.
All right. How many years did you work at Waffle House?
Off and on for about 20.
Okay. And during that period, while you've been employed at Waffle House up until the time that she disappeared, did you keep in contact with Melissa Wolfenbarger?
Not, I was kind of mad at my parents. Well, more mad at my mom. I was upset with my mom. So I really didn't call home much. But all of a sudden, one day, somebody comes up to me at Waffle House and says, guess who you're going to be training tonight? And I'm like, who? They said, your sister. And I'm like, what? And she was married then. She was already married to Chris.
Okay. And what year was that, if you can recall?
97.
Okay.
Yeah, 97.
So that was roughly the year before she disappeared.
hmm
All right. So what type of work would Melissa do at Waffle House?
Well, she worked third shift with me. She was a server.
Okay. You recall how long she worked at that location? And what location was that, if I didn't ask you that?
It was close to the airport, Virginia Avenue, next to where Spondivus is. So the corner of Virginia Avenue and Bobby Brown.
All right. So roughly about 3 months, do you recall the time period?
Probably about 6 months because she had gotten her vacation pay. And Waffle House, you get a vacation check every 6 months.
All right. Are you familiar with Christopher Wolfenbarger?
Yes,
How do you know Christopher Wolfenbarger?
he was married to my sister.
Do you recall at what point in your life you met Christopher?
Yep, it was 95 when I got married.
All right.
The day I got married actually was the first time I ever met him.
And were the defendant and your sister in a relationship at that time when you met him?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall how long they were in a relationship when you first met him?
No, because, well, it wasn't. It had been a while, I guess. Because when she came to work with me at the Waffle House, they were already married.
All right. How many?
It was 95 when I first met him, January.
95. And do you recall how much time passed between you first meeting him to when they got married?
Probably about not too long. I think it was only a month or two.
Okay. Did your sister and the defendant have any children?
Yes, they had two,
Do you recall their names?
Christina and Joey.
All right. Did you get an opportunity to spend time with them as they were growing up?
No, because I was working all the time.
All right. Prior to the defendant and your sister getting married, how much time would you say you had a chance to spend around him?
None,
Okay.
none.
After they got married, how much time would you say you had an opportunity to spend around the defendant and or your sister?
I spent more time with her than I did him.
Okay.
The only time I ever saw him was when he would come up there to the Waffle House to drop her off or pick her up.
All right. If you saw him in court today, do you think you could recognize him?
Oh, I know his face very well.
Okay. If you could point to
He's
Christopher Wolfenbarger.
Right there, black hair and the gray suit.
Okay. Thank you.
If you would, ma'am, sorry, but for my court reporter, if you'll, you're fine so far. You don't need to repeat
Okay.
anything. But if you'll let the lawyers finish their questions all the
Oh,
way
sorry.
before you start to answer. Thank you.
Got it.
Go ahead.
Your testimony was that Christopher Wolfenbarger would visit the Waffle House,
Mhm.
Virginia Avenue near Spondivits.
Yes, sir.
How many times do you recall him doing that?
All the time. Every time she had to work.
And what would you see him doing during that period?
Most of the time, just watching what she was doing.
And you familiar with the name Troy McClendon?
Yes.
Who is Troy McClendon?
Troy was my boyfriend at the time when I worked at that Waffle House with Melissa.
All right. And did you ever see Troy at the Waffle House?
Every day he worked the same shift that me and Melissa worked, third
Okay.
shift.
Can you tell the jury if Troy ever was ever at the Waffle House at the same time that Christopher Wolfenbarger was at the Waffle House?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And do you recall a confrontation between Troy McClendon and Christopher Wolfenbarger?
Yes, I do.
Now, without repeating anything that you that anyone else said during that encounter, can you tell us what you observed happen?
Melissa was running late this time. She was running late getting there, and I was standing in the back by the office door, just looking out front, watching what was going on, because it wasn't time for me to go out front yet. The manager was counting the money for us to take out, and Melissa came in. She came through the swinging door at the back where I was, and I looked at her, and she had tears in her eyes, and her nose was red, her eyes were red, because that's always how she got when she was crying. We all do when we're crying, and everybody in my family anyway. And I noticed that she had like red marks around her throat. And I said, Melissa, what's wrong with you? What's going on? Wait a minute. Is that a handprint around your throat? And she just looked at me and her eyes filled with tears. And I said, did Chris do that to you? And she just looked at me. She didn't really say nothing. And then I just turned and was going to go out the door. I was going to go say something to Chris.
Okay. Did you?
She wouldn't let me. She stopped me. She said, you'll make it worse.
Can you tell the jury what happened after that?
I went out front. Troy evidently heard me in the back room saying something to Melissa. So he was coming towards the swinging door when I was going out it. He said, what's going on? I said, he hit my sister again.
What happened after that?
Troy went over there and confronted him and hit him. And he just looked out the window.
I'm sorry.
Chris just looked out the window.
Okay. How long did that continue?
Not long, because one of the other employees came and grabbed Troy and pulled him away and got Chris out the door.
Okay. Now, what period of time, if we're trying to orient, you started, I think you said you during that 6-month period during 1998.
Sorry.
Okay. So if we're looking at that beginning of 1998 period, can you tell the jury as best you can, when did that happen?
That was more towards the end of 97.
Okay. Now, is that the only confrontation with Christopher Wolfenbarger that you can tell the jury about?
And that's the only one with Troy.
Okay. Did you end up having another confrontation with
Yes,
Christopher
I did.
Wolfenbarger?
I did.
All right. Can you tell the jury how that happened?
Melissa had come and stayed with me for probably about a week. It was supposed to have been longer than that. So we would sit up at night talking about stuff, and then all of a sudden she decided she wanted to go home because the kids. So I took her home and she was getting out of the car and I was getting out with her and I was going to hug her to tell her goodbye. And he came out of the house, Chris, and was coming down the steps and he called me a bad name. He called me a B. And I started going up the steps. He said, if you put your hands on my sister again, I will beat your butt. And she grabbed my arm and said, May, shush, you're going to make it worse. She always said I would make it worse.
Okay. Did anything happen after that?
No.
Okay.
She quit after that.
And around what time period was that?
That was within a month after the confrontation with Troy. So about a month.
Okay. Now, I want to turn your attention back to at the time that you were working at Waffle House with your sister. Can you tell the jury if anything you can recall about what the defendant told you that might have been cause for concern with you, especially considering the disappearance of your sister?
As far as what she said,
Did you have any conversations with the defendant, or did you overhear the defendant make any statements
Oh,
about anything in particular that was of concern for you?
yeah, we were sitting having breakfast one morning, me, Melissa, Chris, Troy, and there's another waitress sitting there, Diane. She was a friend of mine. She'd been working with me for a while, and we were all sitting there eating breakfast, just having a conversation, talking about whatever. And then all of a sudden, Chris pops off with, well, I know how to get rid of a body if I need to. And me, Diane, and Troy looked at each other like, what? Because we were just talking nonsense about silly little stuff or about the news of the day or whatever, just cutting up laughing. And then all of a sudden this comment comes out of his mouth.
Okay. And your testimony, you don't recall the context or what happened or what was said before that?
Well, that was the thing. It wasn't like we were talking about being mean to somebody or killing people or nothing. We were just sitting there cutting up about little silly stuff. And then all of a sudden this comment comes out. And we're all like shocked because it's like, where did this comment come from? Why would he say something like that?
Okay. At any point, did you ask the defendant about that statement?
Oh, no.
Okay. Do you recall if anybody else asked him about it and if there was a response from him regarding that?
No, nobody said nothing. Everybody was just surprised, shocked.
Okay. Now, if Melissa stopped working, you said after that 6-month period at Waffle House, did you see her again after that?
In March for
Okay.
my birthday.
All right. And what year of March was that?
98.
Okay. All right. So, and would that have been the same time that she would have ended her tenure at the Virginia Highland Waffle House?
I didn't know that she was working at that one because when I saw her that night, she told me she was working at Doryville.
Oh, okay. All right. But was that after she had left the location she was working with you? I'm trying to make
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You say Virginia Highland.
Gotcha.
We were on Virginia Avenue.
One moment, Judge. Let me turn your attention back to that. You were talking about a period of time when Melissa and the defendant were, when you came back, they were in a relationship, but it was before they were married.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to give a verbal answer. So was that it? That was a yes?
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry.
no problem. So do you recall when Melissa left the residence?
That I don't.
Okay.
That I don't. I don't know when she actually left from home. I know in 95, when I got married in January, she was still at home, but they were dating at that time.
All right. Now, have you, let me ask you this. When was the first time that you had a concern about the whereabouts of your sister, Melissa?
When my dad walked into the Waffle House in February of 99 and asked me where my sister was.
Okay. Why was that a concern for you?
Because it was right after Mom's birthday. Mom's birthday is February 24th. If my sister didn't go see my mom, call my mom, or send her a card for my birthday, then something was wrong. Because Melissa always called Mom or got in touch with Mom or something on her birthday. Always. She never forgot Mom's birthday. I did. But she always remembered Mom's birthday.
Okay. And so this is February of 99. After he comes into the restaurant, what do you do after that?
Nothing. I just was like, I was surprised. I remember I called my grandmother and asked her why Dad was looking for Melissa. Because at the time he came in, it was lunchtime, so I was kind of busy. So I couldn't really sit down and talk to him about what was going on. He just came in and said, "Where's your sister?" And I was like, "I don't know why." He said, "Well, I went to go look for her and I can't find her nowhere. Nobody knows where she is." I said, "Well, Dad, she doesn't work."
Just a moment, yeah. Just pause that.
I can move on with the additional questions.
And just as a reminder, ma'am, we generally, unless we're asking you to not necessarily tell us what other people told you, unless we specifically ask you about that, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Cassett.
At any point, do you make any efforts to locate Melissa?
Well, I knew that they were looking, so I myself didn't.
And when you say they, who are you referring to?
Mom and dad.
All right. And specifically, did you make any attempts to reach out to law enforcement or anything of that nature?
I did, but it wasn't until 2015.
Okay. And how did you go about that process of reaching out to law enforcement in 2015?
Well, the thing is, in 2015, you know, there was a lot of the ID discovery shows. I kind of got addicted to them, and we already knew by then that Melissa had passed. So I kind of got angry, and that's when I really started trying to reach out to them and push.
Okay. So these are shows where crimes are being solved?
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. So you started trying to reach out. Who you started trying to reach out to?
City of Atlanta, or anybody that would listen. Nobody wanted to really talk.
All right. And are you aware of any investigator was working on that case at that time?
It was Calhoun at that time.
All right. How did you come to find out about the particular officer involved?
Actually, Calhoun, we had already talked to him before that. It was, I think, 2003, I think it was, when we talked to him.
Okay. And 2003, was there anything else of significance that happened in 2003?
That was when we found out that she was dead.
Okay. Well, anything prior to that?
That was the same time that my dad was arrested.
All right. And what was he arrested for?
Murder.
All right. And so does your dad's arrest for murder, does that happen before or after you find out that Melissa was the identity of the remains?
Actually, it was the same time
Okay.
that I was notified.
I see. Okay. But do you recall that as being the same year?
Yeah.
2003?
Same year, same day.
All right. And from that 2015 period up to, I guess, the point that we are now, did you make any additional attempts to contact law
Oh,
enforcement?
yeah. I
And
tried.
who did you contact and how many times did you try to do that?
Every time, well, 2015 was when I decided I was going to get the folder, the file on Melissa.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I was trying to get the file on Melissa,
Okay.
on the case. I had problems getting it. I filed the Open Records Act probably 3 times. And they kept sending me emails back saying, no, they couldn't find the file. There wasn't a file.
Okay. And how many times did you attempt to do that?
That was 3 times then.
And in what agent? You said Atlanta Police Department you were to?
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sorry.
All right. Did you do anything else besides that? Try to get the open records request?
Yes, after the 3rd time, I had come down here the 3rd time in person and filed it. I'd already talked to somebody with Henry County Sheriff's Department that came to the restaurant where I ate at. And he said, well, if there's a file.
You can't say what someone else said.
He just gave me a suggestion about what to do about the file.
All right.
I'm going to object to relevance, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow it. Overruled. Go ahead.
Okay. Did you reach out to anyone that wasn't with law enforcement?
Yes,
And
well, no, she's really with law enforcement.
okay. All right. And did you continue to do that throughout that period of 2015?
Anybody who would listen to the story I told.
Did you conduct any interviews with any reporters or anything related to this story?
Of course,
Okay. And what was the point or purpose of you doing that?
getting Melissa's story told
And why were you trying to do that?
because we wanted answers about her murder. We wanted an arrest.
Okay. Now, did you and Melissa have any conflict as you were growing up?
Of course, I mean, we were sisters.
Okay.
There's always some kind of conflict.
All right.
Nothing life-changing.
And the 2 instances where you were testifying as to the encounter that you had with the defendant at Waffle House and then at the residence, is that the only encounter that you had with this defendant?
Yeah.
All right. That's all I have, Judge.
Thank you. Mr. McDermott?
You've spoken, haven't you?
Of course.
One of the things you said is you've described how you and Melissa are kind of polar opposites.
Yes.
As
Word.
She was a quiet, shy,
Mm-hmm.
reserved,
Yes.
and you were not quiet, shy.
Right.
reserved.
No, not at all.
Uh,
I'm
you
pretty
describe yourself
outspoken.
a little bit more rebellious
Yes.
when you were younger. Did you
Yep.
describe a period earlier that you had left for a couple of years and didn't talk to your mom?
Yes.
And you previously told detectives that you couldn't talk to your mother. You just didn't get along with her.
I didn't get along with her for quite a while.
Okay. You described yourself as a daddy's girl
I was.
and Melissa as a mama's girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now let's just talk about this briefly. You've been in a little bit of trouble yourself too, haven't you?
Yes.
You were most recently convicted for possession of methamphetamines. Is that correct? That was in 2021.
Yes.
And did you have a similar charge in 2022 or 2020?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have previous drug charges before that?
No.
Okay. Do you remember telling Detective Calhoun that Christopher worked for your dad at one time?
He did.
Would that have been a very, well,
Very short time.
it was a very short time, but it was very early in their relationship,
Yes.
wasn't it? What did you say, like 95 or so?
No, probably before that.
Okay. And what did Christopher do for you?
Well, my dad was a roofer.
Okay.
He had a roofing company. So
He spent a good bit of time up on the roof then, didn't he?
yeah.
And Christopher would have been there with him.
Yeah.
And so Christopher would have spent a good bit of time with your dad at that time
Probably.
for however long it lasted.
Yeah.
Okay.
But a lot of times dad would go to other job sites and stuff too.
Now you just described that you didn't know to be worried about Melissa until your dad came into the Waffle House where you worked.
Yes, sir.
And you said that was in February of 99.
Yes.
And that would have been right after your mother's birthday. Is that correct?
Right.
And did your mom and dad come up there together?
No, it was just that.
Just your dad. And that's when he asked you about where's your sister?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes, sir.
she didn't call it Christmas.
Right.
And she didn't call for your mom's birthday.
Right.
And that's when you said, wait a minute, something's wrong.
Right.
And what did you do after that?
I waited to see if mom and dad would find her because that's what they were going to do. They were going to look for her. I was working night shift. It was hard for me to look for her.
And it was hard for you to look for her. And how long was it before you actually did start to look for her?
I couldn't look for her. And by the time 2003 came around and we found out she was dead, it wasn't until later that I started trying to do something.
I see. Do you remember saying to Detective Calhoun that after Carl came up to look for you at your old Waffle House, you went up to Brookline?
No,
If I
that
showed,
was way before that I went to Brookline.
if I showed you a transcript of your interview with Mr. Calhoun, would that refresh your recollection?
Probably.
Yeah, approach her.
Yes.
My apologies for the small print.
Very small,
I can't.
maybe, but I have glasses on, so it's okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So does that refresh your recollection?
Yeah, it does.
So you did go up to Brookline after your dad came.
Yeah, because dad wasn't exactly sure. He had a different address for him than where they actually were. I think the address he had for him was Washington Avenue, I think. It wasn't Brookline.
Do you remember also telling Detective Calhoun that when all this stuff first happened, I went up to the west end of Brookline and knocked on the door?
Before what happened?
Those were your words. You talked to an aunt or a cousin there?
Aunt or a cousin? No, I never talked to an aunt or a cousin.
If I showed you a transcript, would that refresh your recollection?
Yeah. Where?
No, I presume I don't have to ask.
You do not. Thank you.
I don't remember that. No, I don't remember that.
That doesn't refresh you?
No, I don't remember that.
You deny saying that?
I don't remember saying that.
You deny.
I don't remember, I know that I don't remember ever knocking on a door and a cousin or something like that answering the door.
You remember that?
I know I went to Brookline after I saw my dad.
Do you remember the house that Christopher and Melissa lived in was a duplex,
Yeah,
and that their relatives lived in the second?
there was a uncle or something that was deaf that lived on one side of Chris and Melissa.
So do you not deny
Brookline.
making this statement that you talked to somebody at the house?
I don't remember talking to anybody at the house, but I know I went to Brookline, but I don't remember saying to Calhoun that I talked to somebody.
Okay, I just need you to focus on my question.
Mhm.
I know you don't remember now, but I'm asking, do you deny saying it?
Hang on, there's an objection. So
Oh.
just one moment.
The witness has answered the question. He's demanding an acceptance or denial. She simply stated she doesn't recall. So I don't think she's in a position where she's ready to say, I deny it, because she doesn't remember. She doesn't remember.
I'll move
She
on.
answered the question.
I'll move on.
McDermott,
I'll move on.
go ahead.
Do you remember Detective Calhoun asking you about your father, and could he have had anything to do with Melissa?
Yes, I do.
And do you remember saying, no, he's mellowed out as he got older?
I don't think that was exactly what I said, but I know I told him that there was no way it had anything to do with my dad and that my dad would not do that. Actually, I took offense to it.
Do you remember also telling Calhoun immediately after that you and your sister and your mother were the most important things in his life?
In whose life? My dad's?
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you remember saying that he would kill anybody for you?
For us, yes.
If anybody was messing with you, they were gone?
Yeah,
That was all it was. And do you remember telling Calhoun it didn't matter who it was?
that's true.
Does that sound like a man who had mellowed out?
Yeah. Objection. The question initially was speculative in nature, or was asking a speculative question. I think he's coming back to what she thinks her father could have done, and I'm objecting for the question.
I'm going to sustain the objection to the form of the question. You can rephrase it, sir.
I'll move on, Your Honor. You have stated that through the period that you knew Melissa at the Waffle House and whatnot, that you worked hard to get Melissa away from Christopher.
Yes, I did.
And you said that you didn't like him,
No,
and that nobody in your family liked him.
no, we didn't.
Do you remember saying that to Detective Calhoun?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember saying on a podcast that mom and dad don't even know how much I tried to get Melissa away from Chris behind closed doors?
Yes, I do.
And you did all that while you were working at Waffle House. And you persuaded her to come live with you for 2 weeks, right?
Right.
And you said just a while ago on direct testimony that you claimed that she left your house because she wanted to go see her kids
She wanted to go back home to her kids after a week.
after a week. And that's when you took
Supposed to
her,
have been 2 weeks.
and you took her back up to Brookline.
Yeah.
And are you aware that her kids didn't live with her at Brookline?
They were always there when I went. Anytime I saw her at Brookline, they were there.
You were aware that at that time she didn't have custody of those children?
No, I wasn't aware of that.
Do you remember? Do you remember Detective Calhoun telling you that she didn't have custody of her children at that time?
Hang on, just, yeah, thank you.
Objection. Yes, objection.
Mr. McDermott, response?
It's not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. It's being offered to her recollection that it was said to her and what her reaction was.
I'm going to overrule the objection. Go ahead.
You remember telling Detective Calhoun that she wouldn't just up and disappear on her kids like that.
I do remember saying that.
And he told you she didn't have custody of them.
I don't remember that exactly. But I know he said something to me about the kids.
If I showed you a transcript of that discussion, would it
Mhm.
refresh your recollection?
Where? Okay. But I didn't know that.
And this interview was in 2003, correct?
Yes,
So you've known since 2003 that she didn't have custody of her children, correct?
that's what I was told.
So
And I learned.
your testimony here today still is that you took her back to Brookline so she could see her children.
That's what she told me she wanted to go back to Brookline for, was because of her kids.
Because of her kids. Okay, thank you. You said that Melissa was actually close to Troy, your boyfriend.
No,
Do you remember telling Detective Calhoun that that was one of the few people she was close to?
I don't remember saying that.
If I showed you a transcript of that, would it refresh your recollection?
Yeah.
Does that refresh your recollection?
Not really.
Do you remember telling Detective Calhoun that she was also close to your husband, David, at the time?
I kind of a little bit remember that, something about David.
Is that David Burns?
Yeah,
And where is he today?
hopefully in jail
And why was he sent to jail?
for molesting my daughter.
Do you remember, obviously I've asked you several times if you remember talking to Detective Calhoun in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember in that interview that he asked you when was the last time you saw Melissa?
Yeah.
And do you remember telling him, similar to the story you told here a while ago, that it was in March on your birthday,
It was March, the same week of my birthday,
the same week of your birthday? And you remember that clearly because,
because it was my birthday and she brought me a cake.
and she brought you a birthday cookie.
Yep.
And you worked at the Waffle House by the airport and the WWE wrestlers came in on that night.
Yeah. I remember that.
And you and Melissa were both WWE fans.
Yeah.
And you said, but she just missed them that night.
Yeah.
Okay. You remember telling Detective Calhoun that that was in March of 1999?
I don't remember saying 99, but I was probably confused about the year because it was 98. 99 was when she was found.
But you agree with me that she was not found until April 29th?
Yeah.
But do you remember having that conversation with him that your mother had told you it can't be 99, it had to be 98?
I think that was later on when me and mom were talking, because at that time I don't think me and mom were really talking that much.
If I showed you a transcript, would it refresh your memory?
Yeah. I do remember her telling me that one time.
And that was before the interview with Detective Calhoun, obviously.
No, I think that was not before the interview. I think that was later on. I think she said something to me about it.
If this is a transcript of the interview with Calhoun, and you're telling him about your mom talking to you before that interview,
Mom wasn't with me that day. I went to see Calhoun by myself.
and when you're talking to Calhoun, you said, I talked to my mom yesterday. Isn't that what you just read?
Yeah, that's what I just read, but I think that was a different time.
Do you think,
Different time that I talked to Calhoun. That wasn't the first time that I talked to Calhoun.
but now I'm confused. You gave multiple interviews to Detective Calhoun,
I talked to Calhoun several times.
and this was in 2003, correct?
Right.
Okay. So as of this interview, you were telling him that you were certain that it was March of 1999, but that you had talked to your mom the day before and she was trying to get you to change your mind. Is that what you just read?
That's what I read, but I don't remember that.
Okay.
I don't,
You were concerned about Melissa when your father came into the Waffle House
Mhm.
in East Point in February of 1999.
So yes.
yes,
Thank you.
sorry.
So you were working there in that time frame.
At a different Waffle House I was. I was at a different Waffle House when Dad came to see me
You just asked,
at Waffle House. But it wasn't the same Waffle House we worked at.
okay, I'm going to go back and ask you again for the record. Do you remember stating on a podcast, I didn't get concerned until I was at work one morning at Waffle House in East Point.
Mhm.
And here comes my dad walking in the door.
Yeah.
Talking about where's your sister?
Yeah.
And that was in February of 1999.
Right?
Okay.
What's the question?
Well, I thought you just told me that you were working in a different Waffle House.
I
when this
was. It was the one in East Point, but that wasn't what you said earlier.
happened. So you're walking working at the Waffle House in East Point at this time?
Yes,
Okay,
Washington Road.
that was my question. And is that where Melissa came to see you?
No,
What Waffle House was that in?
Virginia Avenue,
Okay. And where's the Waffle House in East Point at?
Washington Road.
Washington Road. The one by Spun Divots.
No, that is Virginia Avenue.
Okay.
It's also East Point. There's two East Point
East Point
applications,
Waffle House. I see.
locations.
When you saw Melissa leave that night, the last time you saw her,
Mhm.
was she by herself or with somebody?
She was by herself.
And how did she leave?
She just left in a car.
In a car?
Mhm.
Do you remember telling Detective Calhoun she was in a white Ford pickup?
It's possible. They only had two vehicles that I ever saw.
And she was driving the vehicle?
She was driving it.
Do you know who owned that vehicle?
Probably Chris.
Do you remember telling Detective Calhoun that that car was in her name?
There was another car that I think I said was in her name, but that's what she told me.
If I showed you a transcript of that discussion, would you refresh your memory?
Oh. I said, I think.
Did you tell Calhoun at that time that you think it's in Chris's name? Or did you tell him that you think it's in Melissa's name?
Well, it says there that I thought it was in Melissa's. So that's probably what I said, but there was another car that was supposed to have been in Melissa's name.
Now, you just told us about an altercation that allegedly occurred between Troy McClendon
Thank you.
and Mr. Wolfenbarger.
Uh-huh.
And you told it a little different than you did the first time. Or at least as you told Detective Calhoun. And I'd like to walk through some of those details.
Okay.
When you testified a while ago, you said that she came back, they came into Waffle House together, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Melissa and Chris?
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
Melissa walked to the back with you. And she was in tears.
Yes.
And you noted these handprint marks on her neck.
Right.
And you said to her, did Chris do that to you?
Yeah.
And she didn't say anything.
Right.
And you said you went to go do something and she stopped you?
Yeah.
What were you going to go do?
I was going to confront Chris.
Okay. Do you remember telling Detective Calhoun a different version of that story? Where you asked her, what's wrong with your neck? And she said, Chris tried to choke me.
Probably. I don't remember exactly. That was a long time ago.
But you're testifying under oath here today that she didn't say anything back.
I'm sure when I was walking away, she was trying to stop me, which she would have said something.
But she didn't say anything back when you asked about the neck.
She cried. She didn't have to say anything.
But you tell Calhoun that she did respond to you. Correct.
I guess. I mean,
And you said that as you were starting to come out the back, Troy McClendon was coming through the swinging doors to the back.
yeah.
Yeah. And when you talked to Calhoun, you said you were coming outside and Troy was just coming in the front door.
No. That wasn't what I meant. There's one swinging door between the front and the back. You have to go
Oh,
through.
so
that-
you're referring to the front as just the restaurant part.
Right.
Okay. And you remember telling Calhoun that when they came in, Chris sat down at the high top.
No, he sat down in a booth.
If I showed you a transcript, would that change, would that refresh your recollection?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes. Oh, okay. That was when they were coming in the door. When they had come in.
So when they came in, Chris sat down at the high top,
I
correct?
guess so.
And for those without Waffle House lingo, the high top is kind of the bar with the
Mhm.
tall stools.
Yes.
I don't need to explain that to an Atlanta jury, I'm sure. But then you said when you came out, you talked to Troy.
Uh-huh.
And then Troy went to confront Chris.
Right.
And then he went over and Chris was in the booth by the window.
Right, because he had moved.
And Melissa was in the seat beside him, correct?
No, Melissa was still in the back. Melissa wasn't out front yet.
If I showed you a transcript, would that refresh your recollection?
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Other side of the booth. Okay, yeah.
On the outside of the booth, is that correct?
The other, I probably said that outside,
Outer side of
but
the booth.
she was on the opposite side of the table from Chris.
How did she transport from the back suddenly to the table?
Because she went out the back door to go out front. She went the opposite way of where I went. I went straight to the front. She went, there's another door behind the office that goes to the restrooms.
Okay.
So she would have went out that door and went out front trying to beat me to the front. But Troy had stopped me.
And he had to reach across Melissa to slap Chris, is that correct?
He reached across the table to slap Chris.
But he had to reach across Melissa.
I don't remember Melissa sitting on that side. I think it was the other side.
Okay. So you've told different versions of the story, different details as time's
It
gone
was
on.
a
haven't you?
long time ago.
Yeah. You've also told us this story that Christopher just one day blurted out at Waffle House. He knows how to kill somebody and get away with it.
He did.
And you said you had no idea where that phrase came from.
No.
But didn't you just tell us that Christopher used to work and spend the day on the roofs with your father?
And
And your father was convicted of murders he committed back in 1970s?
so my
And he used
dad never said anything like that.
How do you know? Were you on the roof with Chris?
My dad would never say anything like that.
I'm asking you, were you on the roof with Chris?
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, I'm objecting. I believe this is argumentative. Ms. Wicks.
Overruled. Move on, please.
So just one more time. You were never on the roof with Chris.
No,
You weren't there when he spent time with your father.
no.
And you don't know what your father might have boasted about.
My dad never boasted about what he did.
Not around you, correct?
They never talked about what he did.
You can only talk about what you know, correct?
I know my dad never talked about what they did.
Excuse me, no further questions.
Thank you. Anything else for this witness, Mr. Fossett? Redirect.
Ms. Patton, when you confronted Chris at the residence, you were testifying previously to dropping Melissa off at the residence. What residence was that?
Brookline.
Okay. And that was still during that 1998 period?
Mhm.
All right. And that,
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
Sorry.
you. That's okay.
and if we're talking about the year she was found, the
Mhm.
year her skull and remains were found, you recall that as being 1999?
Yes, it was.
All right.
29.
Now, if you could, to the best of your recollection, think back to that period of time when you were working with your sister, and I get the Waffle Houses confused myself, and that's the Virginia Avenue Waffle House. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. What year was that?
It was 97 when she worked with me.
All right. And was that the beginning of 97?
It was the end of 97.
Do you recall if it was December, November, October?
Well, it was the end of December. It was the end of the year, but it was March when she came to see me of 98, and she had already left that Waffle House.
All right. And your testimony was that she left right after she got the 6-month vacation check?
Right.
So if you started at the end of 97, would 6 months have taken us to the end of 98?
No, I think it was, how can I explain it? If she started in like September, then would have been September, October, November, December. There would have been 4 months right there. By the time my birthday got there in March, she had already left that Waffle House because she was at the one on, what was it? Doryville. She
So-
told me she was at Doryville.
So she would have left, I guess started early enough in 97 to hit 6 months
Right.
before your birthday in March. Okay. Now, you were just testifying as to the events that occurred at Waffle House.
Right.
You just testified about the booth, about the high chair. Have you seen, you were showed the transcript before the defense attorney showed you a copy of your statement,
Right.
the multiple statements.
Right.
Had you seen those transcripts prior to today's date?
No.
You hadn't studied those transcripts?
No.
And we're talking about the events that occurred in 1998?
Right.
And are you still testifying to the best of your recollection?
Yes.
All right, that's all I have, Judge.
Mr. McDermott?
No further questions.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. The witness excused. May the witness be excused?
No objection.
No objection.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am. Counsel, can you all approach for a minute? (5:15), and so we're going to adjourn for the day. I have a couple of pieces of instruction for you and requests. Let me start by telling you that I need you to be back here tomorrow morning at 9:30. And you'll just follow the same procedure that you followed previously. Now you probably have a little bit more insight about going to the callbacks, and we'll let you into the jury room. So that's 9:30 tomorrow morning. A couple of things that are important. One is we can't proceed unless all of you are here together. So that means whether it's I'm just releasing you for the evening or if I'm releasing you to lunch or a break, if you'll try really hard to come back at the designated time, especially if arriving in the morning, because we can't start until everybody's all here together. If you are running late, if something happens, if you missed the shuttle the first go round, that sort of thing, just let us know. Contact my office, send us a quick text or an email, and that way we'll know that you're on your way and that we can accommodate that. Last few things I want to let you know, especially now that you have heard some evidence in the case. I want to remind you that your obligation in this case is to make this decision only based on the evidence that you hear in this courtroom. And so that means that it would not be proper for you to drive by any locations, to go do any of your own research, to look anything up, to do anything like that. It also would not be proper for you to discuss this case with anyone or to allow anyone to discuss it with you or around you. And that includes amongst yourselves until I tell you to actually deliberate the case. Now, lastly, I don't know if there will be media about this case, but I know some of you, maybe more than others, have said you watch local news and that sort of thing. I'm going to ask you to please avoid media. Don't go look anything up about this on social media, and please avoid local media or national media if you can, just in case there is something about this case. Now, should you happen to accidentally encounter something, first of all, stop immediately. And then second of all, let me know that that happened. And probably it will be nothing, but we need to know about anything that you might have seen so that we can decide if any action needs to be taken. Finally, I appreciate your patience and attention to this process, and I will send you home for the evening and see you tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. Thank you.
All right, observe.
And the jury room will be locked, so you can leave your notes and things like that in the jury room when you go home for the evening. Thank you all. You may be seated. Anything from the parties that you need me to take up before we adjourn for the day?
Two very short things.
Yes, sir.
One, we were given a rap sheet on a witness, who maybe the first witness tomorrow,
It would not be the first one.
at some point tomorrow. This is the first I've ever gotten a rap sheet on her. Our entire knowledge of this witness is one sentence in a report that's, 183 pages long. So I don't know much about her. I have actually two requests. One, is there any additional information through interviews or whatever? Or is that one sentence all we're going to hear from her?
Regarding who is this person? I think
It's
that'd be
a
helpful.
former neighbor who's going to say she heard them fighting.
Oh.
The opening statement seemed to have gone a lot further than that, which means there's some other interviews or statements going on.
Ms. Hilton,
Yes, and I can put.
can
on
you
the
tell me
record-
the name of that witness so our
Yes, you
record's
can.
clear?
In the discovery, I believe she's named Dorothy Jones.
Okay.
However, her name is actually Dorothy Cooley.
Cooley?
Cooley, Cooley.
Okay.
She resided on Brookline. She was a neighbor of Mr. Wolfenbarger. It appeared, and I'll apologize, I thought most of this information was in the discovery, so I'm going to apologize for not giving you all of this. So we found her yesterday, Your Honor, interestingly enough, at her job. I did take a moment to speak with her. What we believe her testimony will be is that she lived on Brookline, was a next door neighbor, knew Mr. Wolfenbarger for about 10 years. She would say, and this is not going to come out, but in full disclosure, that they would sit on the porch every day and smoke marijuana. But he was younger than her. She was a little bit older. She was familiar with his uncle Rick, who also lived at that home as well. That over the course of some time, eventually she started seeing a woman come by the house. That she may have saw a baby with this woman once or twice. That she would hear yelling coming from their home. That one time she may have heard like things breaking multiple times, and that she did see on one occasion a black eye. She was the woman was wearing glasses and had a black eye. So that's what she would testify to. I don't think she knew her name. She can describe her. She's familiar with what she looks like. I did show her a picture of Ms. Wolfenbarger to see if this is the same person that we're all talking about. She said she recognized her as a woman that she has seen with Chris. I think she has to work tomorrow. So she'll be here by sometime after 10, so I can make her available so that you can talk to her. But that is the synopsis of, I believe, the information she will provide.
The second thing is, because I was just given a rap sheet, I can't give them notice, pre-trial notice, that some of these convictions are old, but she's got a lot. I'm trying to make my way through the cycles, but there are some felonies that are more than 10 years old, so I'm giving them notice now. I do plan to use those to cross-examine her.
Ms. Hilton?
You're right, I think that's fine, that she's giving notice. Thank you.
Thank you. It seems like we're going to accept that as notice for now. Mr. Samuel, anything
I
else?
think I just remember the 1 o'clock thing tomorrow, or the 1:30 hearing tomorrow.
Yes, the 1:30 hearing.
Again, I'm not trying to take priority. If I can just, if maybe we could do lunch sometime around then.
Yeah, I don't know how long, Judge Emerson is usually pretty efficient.
He's going to be very efficient.
But my intention was to target breaking for lunch around 1:15, so that way the jury would be, occupied. You could go downstairs and do whatever you need to do and then be back. And then thank you for reminding me of that, because that might assist the state in having their witnesses ready to go as we proceed through.
I very much appreciate that.
Okay. Anything from the state?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Okay. The only thing I will ask, and this is just a preference, different judges are different ways, but if you can stand up and say, objection, hearsay, objection, argumentative, objection, calls for conclusion, objection, he's badgering a witness. Let's keep it to a minimum, right? If we need to have a more fulsome discussion, then I'll probably invite you up here. I'm not going to say you can't make your record that you've made the objection and what the general grounds are. And if the answer is going to be a withdrawn or something, we can do all that. But let's keep our speaking objections. I don't think anybody's trying to get away with anything so far in terms of objections and responses, but let's keep our speaking objections and responses to a minimum. Okay? Anything else? Okay, we are adjourned. It is 5:22. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 9:30.
Right now. Go ahead.